Chapter 512. Lin Shuya's face fell when she saw this. Lin Yen grinned from ear to ear. How could Lin Yen not know what was on Lin Shuya's mind? Even if she was a fake, as long as Lin Shuya sneaked up to the imposter and made her deny it, she would be able to get away with it. Hence, she decided to tell the police that she had called the police. Sure enough, when the imposter heard this, she drove away from the venue. Now that the imposter had escaped, the truth was revealed. If the real Yeva had lost the competition because of her old injury, how could she have escaped with the car? As the imposter drove the silver racing car away, the crowd fell silent once more. That can't be. Qi Xiaoyuan had a look of disbelief on his face as he said in shock, "Boss actually drove the car and ran away. Could it be that she's really an imposter? If she didn't flee, she might have lost the race due to other reasons. For example, her old injury might have worsened and caused her to lose. However, since she ran away, she must be an imposter." Pei Yutong analyzed the situation. "Yeah, I thought it was strange. Given the racetrack's Grim Reaper's skills, even if her old injury had worsened during the race, she wouldn't have lost to Miss Lin Yen. So she was an imposter," Mumu muttered softly. Mumu glanced at Lin Yen and smiled awkwardly. "Miss Lin Yen, I hope you don't blame me for saying this. After all, if she was the real Yeva, Miss Lin Yen wouldn't have stood a chance." "It's fine." Lin Yen grinned. "Let's call the police first. We'll talk when we get back to the manor." Andrea glanced at Lin Shuya and Han Yishuan, who were standing beside him. It was late at night when they returned to the manor. The silver racing car had been found, but the imposter was nowhere to be found. No one knew where it had gone. Everyone was gathered in the hall. Wei Shufeng stared coldly at Lin Shuya and Han Yishuan. Lin Shuya and Han Yishuan had a certain status in the country. Hence, no one doubted that Lin Shuya and Han Yishuan had managed to invite the racetrack's Grim Reaper. Who would have thought that Yeva was an imposter? "Since I'm willing to bet, I'm willing to lose." "I'm sorry." Andrea's eyes trailed to Lin Yen. "I said that if you win, I will eat the clock." After saying that, Andrea strode towards the clock without hesitation. Lin Yen tugged on Andrea's arm. Andrea glanced at Lin Yen in confusion. "Miss Andrea, you might be mistaken. The premise of this bet is that the person is really Yeva. Unfortunately, she is an imposter. Hence, this bet is invalid." Lin Yen grinned. Andrea was startled for a moment before he understood what Lin Yen meant. Lin Yen was giving her a way out. "Thank you." Andrea nodded gratefully at Lin Yen. "I knew it. There's something wrong with Yeva. Otherwise, how could she have lost to such a person?" The female captain of the K1 team exclaimed. "Indeed. She can't even outrun a beginner. How could she be the real Yeva?" Chapter 513. Compete with you? The female captain of the K1 team glanced at Lin Yen and sneered coldly. "I don't think that's necessary. Are you afraid?" Lin Yen grinned at her. "It's fine if that's what you think." The female captain replied nonchalantly, "Not every Tom, Dick, or Harry can compete with me. If you aren't convinced, you can promote the He family team and let them compete with K1. However, I'm afraid you won't get the chance to do so in this lifetime." Lin Yen grinned. "Isn't it just a matter of time before the He family team defeats K1? Everyone turned to look at Lin Yen with a strange expression on their faces. Was there something wrong with this woman's brain? What kind of team was the He family team? What kind of racing team was the K1 team? Was there anything that could be compared between the two? A beginner racing team didn't even have the right to compete with any of the K1 teams, let alone beat the K1 teams on the track. Even teams like ZH1 and WW, who were aware of Lin Yan's abilities, couldn't believe what she had just said. Andrea glanced at Lin Shuya and Han Yishuan and hissed coldly, "The two of you better give everyone a reasonable explanation." Lin Shuya and Han Yishuan exchanged glances when they heard Andrea's words. Lin Shuya was cursing inwardly. That imposter had caused her so much trouble. If she had been stronger, she would have been able to deal with it. She would have been able to play the role of the racetrack's Grim Reaper in legend. It was a pity that she had escaped. However, Lin Shuya was at a disadvantage now. If news of this got out, it would be even more difficult for her to get the role. Andrea, whom she had tried to recruit, would definitely hate her now. Lin Shuya rolled her eyes as she tried to come up with a plan. No matter what, she couldn't be implicated in this matter. "Lin Shuya, are you going to remain silent forever? I accepted your invitation and came all the way here just to see an imposter." Andrea's gaze grew sharper and sharper. In front of the racetrack's Grim Reaper, Andrea didn't put on any airs. She behaved like a little fangirl. However, when he found out that the woman was an imposter, Andrea's aura instantly exploded. Lin Shuya's gaze landed on Andrea. Just as she was about to say something, a security guard walked over and whispered something into her ear. Lin Shuya's expression changed when she heard this. Everyone, Sister Andrea, and Su Feng, I think everything that happened was just a misunderstanding, Lin Shuya said hurriedly. Misunderstanding? Everyone was stunned by Lin Shuya's words. That imposter first lost to an ordinary member of a beginner racing team, then drove away. How could there be a misunderstanding? Lin Shuya, you'd better explain yourself. What do you mean by a misunderstanding? Andrea glared at Lin Shuya as she spoke. Chapter 5:14. Lin Shuya nodded slightly and explained to Andrea, I don't know the truth. However, I can tell you that Madame Yeva has returned. Andrea was startled. She had returned? Hadn't she already escaped? Why would she return? Andrea wasn't the only one who was curious. Wei Shufeng and the other captains were puzzled as well. If she was really an imposter, she would have fled long ago. Why would she return? Wouldn't she be walking right into a trap? No swindler would be that stupid. However, just as Lin Shuya had said, there was no point in relying on their wild guesses. The woman had returned just in time to confront her. They wanted to know what she was up to. Before Lin Shuya could say anything, the girl in the silver uniform strode into the manor. She looked pale and weak. How dare you come back? Andrea's eyes gleamed coldly as she studied the girl. How dare this liar impersonate their boss? She must be tired of living and had a death wish. Lin Yan's eyes trailed to the girl as she sauntered over. The others weren't the only ones curious. Even Lin Yan was taken aback. How could this imposter be so confident? She had returned as though nothing had happened. Everyone, I'm sorry. Something happened, so I couldn't inform you in advance. The girl glanced at the crowd as she spoke. Imposter, what else do you have to explain? Andrea glared at the girl coldly. The girl was startled when she heard that. There was an inexplicable look in her eyes. Lin Yan couldn't help but applaud the girl. She had put on a good show. With such acting skills, why did she have to be a liar? She could even be an actress. Are you still trying to deny it? Andrea didn't seem to be convinced. Sister Andrea, don't be anxious. I think there might be a misunderstanding. Why don't you let her explain herself? If she can produce evidence to prove her identity, everything will be fine. If she can't, we will deal with it as we see fit, Lin Shuya said softly as she looked at Andrea. All right, then we'll give her a chance to prove herself, Andrea said coldly. Then let her tell us what happened just now. Madame Yeva, I'm very sorry. Please explain to us what happened just now. Why did you lose to an amateur racer? Why did you drive away after hearing the police? Asked Godzi. Hearing this, the girl's expression was extremely calm, and she calmly said, I don't think I need to explain such things to you at all. As soon as the imposter finished speaking, Andrea was about to get angry, but the imposter continued, forget it. Since you want to know, I can tell you. Speak. We are listening, Wei Shufeng said. On the track just now, my old injury acted up. Not only that, but the car was also in a semi-malfunctioning state. When I finally drove the car to the finish line, the brakes were completely out of order and I lost control of the direction. That's why the car sped off the track. After I regained control of the car, I couldn't bear the pain anymore, so I took a taxi to the nearby hospital, the imposter explained calmly as she glanced at the crowd. Chapter 5:15. Is my explanation clear enough? The imposter asked when everyone fell silent. Pei Yutong stared at the imposter in disbelief. Big sister, do you take us for fools? Even if you want to quibble, you should at least find a better excuse. Think about it carefully and organize your words. Be logical and logical. For the first time, Pei Yutong felt as though his intelligence had been insulted. That's it? Qi Xiaoyuan stared at the imposter in bewilderment. Were you trying to fool? The car malfunctioned? Why didn't you die from a car accident? Why did you go to the hospital to check on your undeveloped brain? Lin Yan was speechless. She had to admit that Qi Xiaoyuan's sharp tongue had reached the pinnacle. What? Do you find it hard to believe? That's why I said that I don't need to explain anything to you. The imposter glanced at everyone and spoke nonchalantly. Lin Yan stared at the imposter in confusion. This woman had imitated her tone and expression when she had been in the WZ team. She was really good at imitating her. If she was the one who was suspected of her true identity, her reaction would be the same as this woman's current state. She would have said that it had nothing to do with you whether I'm Yeva or not. Why should I explain myself to you? The imposter had finally managed to imitate the essence of her words. Oh yeah. The imposter added, if you don't believe me, you can check the silver car that I was driving earlier. You can also go to the nearest hospital to check if I'm telling the truth. Okay. Andrea nodded. Since that's your request, we will fulfill it. I'll do it, Lin Shuya replied hastily. There's no need. Andrea glanced at Lin Shuya. Let's do this together. Lin Yin glanced at Andrea. This Hollywood actress was smart. Once she suspected something, she wouldn't be fooled so easily. Andrea knew that Lin Shuya and Han Yishuan had invited this man over. How could they let the two of them handle such crucial evidence? Who knew if they were in cahoots with the imposter? Alright, you guys go ahead and investigate, but I'm going to rest. The imposter said, don't worry about me escaping. If things were really as you think, I wouldn't have come back. I will stay. Before the truth is revealed, I will be in charge of watching over Madame Yeva, said Mumu. Half an hour later, they called in the professionals for an inspection. However, the results of the examination were shocking. The car did have a huge hidden danger. The brake system was malfunctioning, the steering system was malfunctioning, and the tire pressure was too high. Could it really be a misunderstanding? If that woman is really Yeva, it's already a miracle that she managed to reach the finish line despite the malfunctioning brakes and steering system. How skilled must she be to achieve that? There's nothing to be said about losing to a junior racer, the female captain of the K1 team said. To the hospital. Andrea frowned. Soon they arrived at the hospital that the imposter mentioned, found the doctor who was treating the imposter, and retrieved the surveillance footage. According to the time, the woman did not lie. She did come to the hospital as soon as possible. Chapter 5:16. According to the surveillance footage, the imposter had been in a weak state when she had entered the hospital. Her leg had been injured. Moreover, the doctor also told him the result of the diagnosis. It was indeed a relapse of the leg injury. How is that possible? Qi Xiaoyuan was dumbfounded, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. If Qi Xiaoyuan hadn't known that the real Yeva was Lin Yin, he would have thought that this was a misunderstanding. However, this shouldn't have happened. How could there be such a coincidence? The imposter had said that the brakes and steering had failed. They had checked the car carefully, and it had been as she had said. The imposter had said that her injury had relapsed and she had come to the hospital. The results were exactly as she had said. What was going on? Everyone glanced at each other in confusion. Could this really be a misunderstanding? Coincidentally, Yeva's injury had relapsed during the race with Lin Yin. The brakes and steering had failed and the car had sped out of control. After the car had stabilized, Yeva hadn't returned to the villa because of the pain. Instead, she had gone to the hospital. Furthermore, she had said that she had rejected the K1 race because she was tired and her injury had relapsed. Everything made sense now. Could we have misunderstood Madame Yeva? One of the K1 captains asked, looking puzzled. Indeed. We have come to investigate and everything is the same. This makes sense. If Yeva is the real Yeva, why would she come back? Wouldn't she be courting death? At this moment, even Andrea was a little shaken. Why are you wasting so much time? Isn't it easy to find out who she is? Qi Xiaoyuan blurted out suddenly. Everyone's eyes darted to Qi Xiaoyuan. Although we haven't seen Yeva in person, someone must have seen her. For example, the Guru Lang Mang, the Butcher Guru, etc. Get her to call one of her disciples and video call them. Qi Xiaoyuan exclaimed excitedly. Yes. That's right. Pei Yutang nodded vigorously. He's right. If she is the real Yeva, it would be easy. A video call would be the most reliable method. Even if we haven't seen her, we should have seen Lang Mang and Butcher. Yes, this is indeed a good idea. Andrea nodded in agreement after thinking for a while. Lin Shuya's heart sank. Who knew if that woman was the real Yeva or an imposter? If she was the real Yeva, it would be a happy ending. However, if she was a fake, she would be exposed in an instant. I think that this idea is feasible. Wei Shufeng nodded in agreement. After confirming the method of distinguishing the real from the fake, everyone returned to the manor. Boss, you don't object to this idea, do you? When no one was around, Qi Xiaoyuan glanced at Lin Yin. Whatever, replied Lin Yin nonchalantly. That imposter was not a simple person. If he didn't use this method, he would have to waste some time to expose her identity. I want to see how that imposter is going to pretend. Qi Xiaoyuan sneered. A moment later, the imposter was invited out of the hall. Have you investigated thoroughly? The imposter's expression did not change. Just like you said, there is no problem. However, we are still worried, so please video call one of your disciples, replied Wei Shufeng. Update is over. Sister Yan's disciple is about to appear and slap her in the face. Chapter 5:17. The imposter scanned the crowd before she replied coldly, I don't think there's a need for that. There's a need for that? Hearing this, Andrea said expressionlessly, "This is the most direct way to prove your identity. If you think this will disturb the gods, you can also show me your racing license." "I don't think there's a need for that," the girl replied softly. "Do you think we are fools?" Qi Xiaoyuan glanced at the impostor. "You can't even video call one of your apprentices. You can't even show us your driving license. How are you going to prove your identity?" Lin Shuya frowned. If this was the case, the girl before her was most likely an impostor. She couldn't possibly be the real Yeva. The girl sat on the sofa. She didn't look like she was in any mood. In fact, there wasn't even the slightest fluctuation in her emotions. Before anyone could speak, the girl chuckled. "Sun Shuaren, what do you think?" "Sun Shuaren?" Wei Shufeng and Qi Xiaoyuan exchanged a glance. They knew who Sun Shuaren was. He was one of Yeva's apprentices and had been famous during the international competition. "Of course," replied Andrea. The girl whipped out her phone as everyone watched. A moment later, a young man's face appeared in the girl's video call. "Master, why are you looking for me so late at night?" The man seemed to have just taken a shower as he was draped in a towel. "Shuaren, where are you?" asked the girl with a grin. "I just got off the plane. I have some matters to attend to in China," explained the man. "What a coincidence. You're in China too. Do you want to come over for a gathering?" quipped the impostor. The man was taken aback. "Master, are you in China too?" "I'm currently in the capital city. What's your address?" "I'll send it to you." After saying that, the impostor hung up the phone. At that moment, everyone was dumbfounded as they looked at the video that was cut off. They recognized the man's face. He was one of Yeva's apprentices, Sun Shuaren. There was no mistaking him. Could it be a combination? Or was it photoshopped? "I don't think it's real." Qi Xiaoyuan glanced at Lin Yan as he spoke. "I knew you would say that. That's why I asked Sun Shuaren to come," the impostor said expressionlessly. "This video isn't edited," one of the team captains explained. "I've done some research in this area. If it's a composite, I'll definitely be able to tell that it's Sun Shuaren. There's nothing wrong with the video. Is it really a misunderstanding?" Andrea was surprised and there was some uneasiness in her eyes. Hence, to put it bluntly, she was indeed Boss Yeva. What had happened on the track had been a coincidence. They had wrongly accused Boss and even treated her rudely. The video is indeed real. Wei Shufeng chimed in. "If the video was edited, I would have been able to tell. I will take responsibility for what I said." At this moment, everyone present more or less felt a little guilty. They hadn't been friendly to Yeva just now. "Then can I prove my identity now?" the impostor on the sofa asked. "Boss, it was too much of a coincidence. Besides." Wei Shufeng frowned as he explained. Chapter 518. Hearing that, the impostor shook her head and said, "I can understand. If I were you, I would also suspect that it was too much of a coincidence. But no matter how much of a coincidence it is, I am me. I can't become someone else." "Boss, I'm so sorry. I offended you." Andrea glanced at Yeva uneasily. "It's fine," the impostor said. "What's going on?" Qi Xiaoyuan's face was filled with confusion. With Wei Shufeng and the other team leaders' testimony, the video couldn't have been edited. However, if it was real, Sun Shuaren, as Yeva's disciple, should have met his master before. How could he be mistaken? "Sister-in-law, you're in big trouble. Let's get out of here." Pei Yutong pulled Lin Yan aside and spoke hastily. Lin Yan was the one who had instigated this. Now that the truth had been revealed, everything had been a misunderstanding. Everyone was going to settle the score with Lin Yan soon. "There's no hurry." Lin Yan chuckled softly. "Pei Yutong, Daddy, we're in such dire straits. Why aren't you anxious?" Pei Yutong sighed heavily. He didn't know what else to say. "Boss, how's your injury?" Wei Shufeng glanced at the girl on the couch. "It's fine, don't worry," the impostor said. Lin Shuya and Han Yishuan could finally relax when they saw the situation. The video was enough to prove that the girl in front of him was indeed Yeva. There couldn't be any more unforeseen circumstances. "Sister, I know that you hate me, but Madame Yeva is Yishuan's and my guest. How could you slander her?" "Sister, you wanted to race with Madame Yeva and she agreed. She even endured the pain." Lin Shuya glanced at Lin Yan with an aggrieved expression. Everyone's eyes darted to Lin Yan at Lin Shuya's words. "That's right. Think about it carefully. It was indeed this woman who stirred things up first. What kind of intentions does she have? He's just a member of a junior team, an unknown actor, yet he dares to be so lawless? Had he wronged Madame Yeva? What an ingrate. How could Madame Yeva lower herself to race with her?" The female captain of the K1 team sneered coldly. Frankly speaking, this has nothing to do with Miss Lin Yen. When Yava lost to Miss Lin Yen, all of you started to suspect her identity. Isn't it too much to push the blame to her? Qi Xiaoyuan glanced at everyone. Indeed, this has nothing to do with Miss Lin, God Zi chimed in. No matter what, Lin Yen is my sister. Please don't blame her. If you want to blame someone, blame me. I apologize. Lin Shuya bowed deeply to the crowd. Shuya, this has nothing to do with you. You don't have to protect her. You mentioned this morning that Madame Yeva was injured, which was why she didn't compete with K1. Lin Yen was there too, so she knew about it. That's why she provoked Madame Yeva. She came here today to cause trouble. Han Yishuan glanced at Lin Shuya. That's right, Miss Shuya. Even if she's your sister, why should you bear the responsibility for her mistakes? Does she deserve to be your sister? The female captain of the K1 team said. Chapter 519. Lin Yen, I didn't expect you to be such a person. Wei Shufeng gazed at Lin Yen, his eyes filled with disappointment. Who invited this woman? I don't want to see such a person. Please get the staff to ask her to leave. The imposter's eyes were filled with disgust and disgust. Pei Yutong wanted to speak up for Lin Yen, but he didn't know what to say. Qi Xiaoyuan's face was filled with hatred as well. However, things had developed beyond their control. Are you guys done? Suddenly, the corners of Lin Yan's mouth curled up into a smile as she spoke nonchalantly. Lin Yan apologized to Boss Yeva? Wei Shufeng hissed coldly. I don't think it's appropriate to apologize to an imposter. Lin Yan grinned. What did you say? What's wrong with this woman's head? Why is she still claiming that Madame Yeva is an imposter? She is trying to scam us. Lin Yan, what evidence do you have to prove that Boss Yeva is an imposter? Wei Shufeng eyed Lin Yan coldly. Evidence? Lin Yan shook her head, unbothered by everyone's gazes. If I say that she is an imposter, then she is an imposter. My words are the evidence. Wow, I didn't expect to see such a shameless person. One of the K1 members clicked his tongue. Miss Lin Yan, given your status, you don't even have the right to speak to Madame Yeva. Not only did you get to meet her today, but you even raced with her. Not only are you not grateful, but you have also slandered her. I think that young Master Qi and God Zi have made the wrong friends. The K1 captain glanced at God Zi. God Zi, how could you invite such a person to Madame Yeva's private dinner? If word gets out, ZH1's reputation will be tarnished. God Zi and Mumu looked awkward as they couldn't understand Lin Yan's actions. Pei Yutong wanted to say something, but Lin Shuya received a notification from the security guards that a young man named Sun Xuan was visiting. Mr. Sun Xuan is here, Lin Shuya announced. As they spoke, Sun Xuan strode into the manor. He was dressed in a suit with a leather collar. Sure ran. The imposter stood up with a smile on her face. She ignored Lin Yan and strode out of the hall. Master, long time no see. Sun Xuan looked at the imposter and smiled. It's Sun Xuan? When Sun Xuan appeared, Wei Shufeng and the rest were certain that the girl was Yeva. Wei Shufeng eyed Lin Yan coldly before he trailed after her. Daddy, did you see that? Sun Xuan is really here. That woman isn't fake. Pei Yutong hurriedly told Lin Yan, let's leave now. Lin Yan glanced at the man. She recognized him. He was one of her disciples, Sun Xuan. It was a pity that Sun Xuan hadn't seen Lin Yan. Otherwise, the expression on his face would have been a sight to behold. Mr. Sun Xuan, may I ask if this is really Yeva? Qi Xiaoyuan stepped forward with a frown. Sun Xuan glanced at Qi Xiaoyuan and chuckled softly. What are you talking about? Is there another Yeva? Chapter 520. Mr. Sun Xuan, to be honest, a member of the team questioned Madame Yeva's identity. The female captain of the K1 team replied. Is that so? That's interesting. Sun Xuan was nonchalant. Where is Lin Yan? Ask her to come here. The female captain of the K1 team hissed coldly. Pei Yutong sighed heavily. He was doomed. He couldn't escape even if he wanted to. Daddy, what should we do now? Pei Yutong glanced at Lin Yan. Lin Yan, who was smiling faintly, didn't look the least bit flustered. What are you afraid of? Let's go and meet Sun Xuan, Lin Yan replied. Pei Yutong replied, Daddy, I feel that. I will die because of you tonight. Lin Yan strode forward, and Pei Yutong had no choice but to trail behind her. It was late at night and the villa was dark. Sun Xuan saw a black figure approaching slowly, but he couldn't see her face clearly. Is she the one? Sun Xuan asked softly. Yes, Mr. Sun Xuan. This is the woman who has been causing trouble and provoking Madame Yeva. The female captain of the K1 team nodded. Mr. Sun Schwarren, given your and Madame Yeva's status, there's no need for you to interact with such a small fry. You can ask the security guards to chase them away. I think that Miss Lin Yen must have some misunderstanding with Madame Yeva. There's no need to call the security guards, Godzi replied with a frown. Mr. Sun Schwarren, Madame Yeva, I'm really sorry. Please don't blame my sister. If you want to blame someone, just blame me. I will take full responsibility. Lin Shuya stepped forward. Shuya, this has nothing to do with you. Everyone saw your sincerity and your feelings for Lin Yen. However, Lin Yen has gone overboard. She should bear the consequences herself. Wei Shufeng glanced at Lin Shuya as he spoke. Shuya, I told you that Lin Yen is a vicious person with ulterior motives. You will be killed by her sooner or later. Han Yishuan pulled Lin Shuya to his side. This was a good show. Soon Lin Yen entered everyone's line of sight with a smile on her face. Mr. Sun Schwarren, what do you think? The corners of Lin Yan's mouth curled into a smile as she glanced at Sun Schwarren, who was rubbing his eyes. Where did this woman come from? Who is Mr. Sun Schwarren? First, she provoked Madame Yeva, and now she's speaking to Mr. Sun Schwarren in such a manner? Lin Yan, you're digging your own grave. Wei Shufeng glared at Lin Yan, his eyes filled with disgust and disgust. Lin Yan ignored Wei Shufeng and the others. Her eyes were gleaming as she gazed at Sun Schwarren. At this moment, Sun Schwarren's face was filled with disbelief. How could he not recognize the woman in front of him? Sun Schwarren was so shocked that his body started to tremble. What are you waiting for, woman? Are you really going to let the security force you to leave? The female captain of K1 shouted coldly. Shut your filthy mouth. Sun Schwarren yelled at the female captain of the K1 team. Ah. The female captain of K1 looked puzzled. Was Sun Schwarren talking to her? Sun Schwarren, tell me. Is this girl your master Yeva? Lin Yen grinned at Sun Schwarren. Chapter 521. Sun Schwarren stared at Lin Yen, who was smiling at him. Beads of perspiration formed on his forehead. He had never imagined that his master would appear at such a private event. At this moment, everyone looked at Sun Schwarren in confusion. They had no idea what was going on. Lin Yen, what are you? Wei Shufeng stared at Lin Yen intently. Before he could finish, Sun Schwarren shook his head. No, it's not. As soon as Sun Schwarren's voice fell, the entire place fell into a strange silence. It was so quiet that one could hear the heartbeats of the people around them. What did Sun Schwarren mean by that? Sun Schwarren? Seeing this, the impostor frowned deeply. She looked at Sun Schwarren as a look of surprise surfaced in her eyes. No one knew what was going on, but Qi Xiaoyuan knew exactly what was going on. Qi Xiaoyuan grinned at Sun Schwarren. Sun Schwarren probably hadn't expected to bump into Yeva here. Mr. Sun Schwarren, what do you mean? Andrea glanced at Sun Schwarren, looking perplexed. Sun Schwarren wasn't in the mood to care about them. His heart was pounding uneasily. Follow me. Lin Yen strode to the hall without turning back. To everyone's disbelief, Sun Schwarren followed Lin Yen to the hall. K1 and Andrea had wanted to follow them, but Qi Xiaoyuan had stopped them. Young Master Qi, what are you doing? One of the K1 captains asked. She has something to say. It has nothing to do with you. Why are you eavesdropping? Qi Xiaoyuan sneered coldly. One of the K1 captains felt awkward, but he didn't say anything. Captain, this is weird. Miss Lin Yen and Sun Schwarren know each other. Judging by his attitude, something doesn't seem right. Mumu whispered to Godzi. Godzi nodded in response. Mumu was right. He was curious about their relationship as well. Don't talk. Let's follow them secretly. Godzi instructed softly. Okay. Mumu nodded. Mumu and Godzi watched as Qi Xiaoyuan argued with everyone else. Then they slipped into the darkness. Lin Yen sat on the couch in the living room as she studied Sun Schwarren with a faint smile on her face. Sun Schwarren, who was standing beside Lin Yen, had lowered his head like a child who had done something wrong and was waiting to be punished. Sun Schwarren, do you have anything to say? Lin Yen stared at Sun Schwarren for some time before she spoke. Hearing this, Sun Schwarren's body trembled slightly. His eyebrows were deeply knitted together. Master. Master? Lin Yen grinned. That girl should be your master, right? No. Master, I have my reasons. Master, please listen to my explanation. It's definitely not what you think, Sun Schwarren said anxiously. All right, I'll listen to your excuses, replied Lin Yen. Master, I'm not quibbling. I'm trying to explain myself. I know that I'm in the wrong, but, Master, that girl has been impersonating you for months. I exposed her the first time. Sun Xuan sighed heavily as he tried to explain himself. However, at this moment, God Zi and Mumu, who were hiding outside the door, stood rooted to the ground. Their eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. Chapter 522. Lin Yan sat quietly on the couch in the living room as she listened to Sun Xuan's explanation. After some time, Lin Yan glanced at Sun Xuan. So what you're saying is that you were the one who exposed the girl when she pretended to be me. In the end, you fell in love with her? This was beyond Lin Yan's expectations. What kind of miracle was this? Master. I really had no choice. Sun Xuan let out a sigh. I warned her not to continue her deceit, let alone impersonate her master. I didn't expect her to do such a thing again. She called me and told me that she had been exposed and that she was in danger. I didn't think it through and helped her cover up her lie out of selfishness. The silver car. Lin Yan gazed at Sun Xuan deep in thought. It was me. After the incident, she drove away in her racing car and called me. I happened to be in China and I wasn't far from where she was, so I rushed over to help her think of a solution. I was also the one who tampered with the racing car, so the brakes and steering didn't work. As for the injury on her leg, it was already there, Sun Xuan explained. No wonder. Lin Yan nodded. If Sun Xuan had stepped forward to help, then everything could be explained. It was no wonder that the imposter dared to come back. She was relying on none other than Sun Xuan's trump card. Master, I'm begging you. Please forgive me this time. Sun Xuan looked anxious when Lin Yan remained silent. If this matter were to be spread out, how would he face his fellow disciples? If he helped a woman impersonate their master, he wouldn't be able to continue living in this world. Do you really like her? Lin Yan was curious. Don't you like aloof women? Sun Xuan was speechless. No. Actually, I like her. She doesn't know that I like her, so she thinks that I need money too. She even promised to give me half of the money. Master, you know that I don't need money. I just sigh. Sun Xuan looked helpless. Lin Yan was completely speechless. Sun Xuan had already put it this way, so what else could she say? This is the only time. If I catch you again? Lin Yan eyed Sun Xuan intently. Master, don't worry. You won't find out. Sun Xuan vowed. What? Lin Yan's face hardened. No. Master, what I mean is that there won't be a next time, so you won't be able to find out, Sun Xuan said anxiously. That's more like it. Lin Yan nodded. Master, aren't you mad at me anymore? Sun Xuan asked boldly when he noticed that Lin Yan's expression had softened. On account of your filial piety, I will let it go this time. However, like I said, if I catch you again, I will make you suffer. Lin Yan grinned. Thank you, Master. Oh yeah, Master. That girl? Sun Xuan stared at Lin Yan intently. On your account, I won't pursue the matter this time. Go out and tell everyone who she really is. Then take her away. Lin Yan pondered for a moment before she spoke. Chapter 523. Sun Xuan heaved a sigh of relief when he heard Lin Yan. Outside the hall, God Zi and Mumu were dumbfounded. Mumu snapped back to his senses and stared at God Zi in disbelief. Captain, oh my God. Sun Xuan called Miss Lin Yan. Master. He even said that the imposter was impersonating her. God Zi, who was equally shocked, asked, Did we hear wrongly? Mumu shook his head frantically. How is that possible? Captain, you heard wrongly. How could you have heard everything wrongly? Besides, it's impossible for both of you to have heard everything wrongly. God Zi inhaled deeply as he stared at Mumu in shock. In other words, Miss Lin Yan is the real racetrack's Grim Reaper. Yeva. Mumu broke out in a cold sweat. Are we dreaming? Captain, oh my God. This is unbelievable. The racetrack's Grim Reaper is Miss Lin Yan. She has a good relationship with us and even ate with us. She even helped us with the race. I'm going crazy. Mumu scratched his head. No wonder. No wonder. God Zi seemed to have recalled something. Captain, what do you mean by no wonder? Asked Mumu. Think about it carefully. Miss Lin Yan, you're just a rookie racer. It doesn't make sense that you would be able to drive so well. Do you think it makes sense that you would be able to outperform everyone except Air Force? God Zi frowned. No. That doesn't make sense. Mumu replied. I finally understand. No wonder Air Commander of Speed looked strange when he saw Miss Lin Yan and refused to race with her. It's possible that Air Commander had seen Yeva's face before. That's why he recognized Miss Lin Yan. God Zi quipped. Realization dawned on Mumu. Yes. That's right. Now that Captain mentioned it, I remember. Also, Miss Lin Yen led her cousin to victory as a navigator. If it was Yeva, it would be easy. Yeva is a racer, so she should be a top navigator. God Z added. Oh my god. The He family is really stupid. How could they not know that Lin Yen is Yeva? Captain, why did Yeva hide her identity? I can understand why she returned to the country after retiring. After all, this is her home. Why did she become an actress? Mumu was puzzled. I don't know. God Z shook his head. Perhaps. Yeva likes to act. As for hiding her identity, she has always been like that. Doesn't she wear a helmet every time she appears? She doesn't accept interviews or appear in public. I'm not sure either. Captain, does this have anything to do with Yeva's retirement? Or is it not appropriate for Yeva to become an insignificant actress? Is that why she chose to hide her identity? Mumu pondered for a moment before asking. How would I know? God Z rolled his eyes at Mumu. I'm not Yeva. Who am I supposed to ask? Mumu was speechless. It's true, Captain. There are many strange things in this world. I can't believe that such a thing happened to us. Oh my god. We actually let Yeva fight on behalf of ZH1. We even fought with Yeva before. I'm a die-hard fan of hers. Mumu exclaimed excitedly. Chapter 524. God Z pondered for a moment before replying, Me too. No wonder young Master Chi acted so strangely today. Did he know that Miss Lin Yen is the racetrack's Grim Reaper? Mumu wondered aloud. However, before God Z could continue, a black shadow shrouded both of them. God Z raised his head, only to realize that Lin Yen had bent over and was scrutinizing them. Mumu was speechless. God Z was speechless. God Z, Mumu, why are you two squatting here? Lin Yen eyed them curiously. It was indeed puzzling for them to be sneaking around in the middle of the night. Miss Lin Yen, I really didn't expect that. God Z suddenly realized that something was amiss. If he said it out loud, wouldn't he be implying that Mumu and he were eavesdropping on them? Huh. Lin Yen frowned. Oh, I really didn't expect that Miss Lin Yen and Mr. Sun Xuan would know each other. God Z grinned sheepishly. Lin Yen nodded. Yeah, we've known each other for a long time, right? Sun Xuan? Sun Xuan replied hurriedly, Yeah, Miss Lin Yen and I are good friends. Mumu and God Z exchanged a look. He had to admit that the two of them were really good actors, especially Lin Yen. She was indeed an actress. She was so good at acting. She was Yeva, and Sun Xuan was her apprentice. How could they be friends? When did you guys arrive? Lin Yen glanced at God Z. We just came to find out what was going on. We didn't even enter the door before you came out. God Z pretended to be calm. In the past, it had been natural for him to talk to Lin Yen like they were friends. However, things were different now. They hadn't known that Lin Yen was the racetrack's Grim Reaper. Now they felt pressured. Let's go. Sun Xuan will prove that the girl is an imposter, replied Lin Yen. Oh, it's really an imposter? Mumu looked shocked. Sun Xuan nodded. Yeah, it's an imposter. I couldn't recognize her at first. She looks alike and it's late. Mumu tried to hold in his laughter, but he didn't dare laugh. Who was he trying to fool? He clearly liked that swindler and was helping that swindler to cover up his lies. Who would have thought that his teacher would be right here and he would be exposed on the spot, saying that he couldn't recognize him in the dark? It's understandable. It's normal for one's own master to not recognize him. Mumu didn't think too much about it. Sun Xuan's expression turned awkward when he heard Mumu's words. No, what I mean is it's quite dark, so it's normal that I didn't recognize you. They look similar, even their voices are similar. Mumu laughed. Indeed, the woman's voice was very similar to Lin Yan's. However, no one had thought about it that way. Lin Yen and Sun Xuan returned to the manor. At this moment, everyone was still far away, and the opportunity hadn't moved at all. Mumu looked at the K1 team and sneered inwardly, especially at the female captain of the K1 team. If that woman knew that Lin Yen was Yeva, who knew how she would react? Lin Shuya glanced at Lin Yen and Sun Xuan with a frown. Did Lin Yen know Sun Xuan? How was this possible? When Lin Yen had been overseas, she had merely been an insignificant racer. How could she know someone like Sun Xuan? Besides, hadn't Sun Xuan admitted that she was Yeva? What was going on? Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit IAI. Chapter 525. Xuan, what's wrong? The imposter glanced at Sun Xuan, who was standing next to Lin Yen. The arrogance on Sun Xuan's face had vanished completely. He looked like a tiny sapling that had been hit by a storm. His body was trembling and he looked terrified. He didn't even dare to glance at Lin Yen out of the corner of his eye. His master had been missing for a long time. Even his seniors hadn't been able to contact his master. Everyone had said that his master had left the industry and would never return. That was why he had taken the risk to help this woman. Never in his wildest dreams would he have imagined that he would bump into his master after pretending to be her. At this very moment he simply wanted to die. His master didn't care about her reputation, but if his seniors were to find out about this, he would die a horrible death. He could only blame himself for being blinded by lust. Sun Xuan? The impostor looked even more displeased when Sun Xuan remained silent. Shut up. Sun Xuan bellowed at the thought of this. He glared at the impostor and yelled, Where did you come from? How dare you impersonate my master? Do you have a death wish? Everyone was dumbfounded when they heard Sun Xuan's bellow. The female captain of K1 who had been waiting to watch the drama unfold froze in place. What? Had Sun Xuan just said that this Yevon was an impostor? Lin Xia was stunned as well. Then her expression changed. Mr. Sun, are you sure you're not mistaken? During the video call you were. Sun Xuan's face darkened when he realized that Lin Xia had touched his sore spot. He glanced at Lin Yan cautiously. Then he swallowed his saliva and explained anxiously, I don't know where this impostor got my phone number. It was dark earlier so I couldn't see clearly. If I hadn't come here personally, I would have been fooled by her. The woman, who hadn't expected Sun Xuan to betray her, looked flustered and flustered. Sun Xuan, do you know what you're saying? Sun Xuan said coldly, What? Do you think I, the disciple, can't recognize the wrong master? Although Sun Xuan's achievements weren't impressive and he was considered the weakest among Yeva's disciples, he was considered a formidable figure in the eyes of the crowd. His words couldn't be false. Is this woman real or fake? One of the K1 captains murmured in disbelief. Sun Xuan said it's fake. How can it be real? It had to be fake. How can a disciple recognize the wrong master? Damn. Lin Yan was right. Everyone instinctively turned to look at Lin Yan, who looked nonchalant. How had Lin Yan found out about it? Why was she so sure that this woman was an impostor? After Sun Xuan had gone out with Lin Yan, he had suddenly changed his mind. The impostor had been caught off guard, and the strange gazes and whispers had engulfed her. It was as though acid had corroded her beautiful disguise and clothes. The praise and admiration she had built up because of Yeva's name crumbled like a wall, revealing her true self. The woman glanced at Sun Xuan again. Although she had no idea what Lin Yan had told Sun Xuan, she knew that there was nothing she could do to change the outcome. For a better reading experience, please visit the website. Chapter 526. She clearly knew that no matter what the reason was, as long as Sun Xuan did not help her cover up this lie, she would be finished. She didn't dare drag Sun Xuan down with her, as that would only offend Sun Xuan. Hence, she could only take advantage of the chaos to escape. F***CK. Don't let that impostor escape. Someone yelled. The crowd yelled for the security guards to chase after the impostor. Lin Xia and Han Yishuan apologized frantically, while Dian reprimanded them angrily. Lin Yan, who was bored out of her mind, watched the chaos unfold. She yawned and told Pei Yutong, who was still watching the commotion. Then she turned around and left leisurely. Han Yishuan was in a terrible predicament. Mr. Sun, I'm really sorry. We really didn't know that the impostor was an impostor. We couldn't have been in cahoots with her. He had assumed that the impostor had called Sun Xuan, which meant that there would be no problem. Who would have thought that things would take a turn for the worse? Lin Xia, who had no time to think, could only swallow her anger and apologize. Mr. Sun, Miss Dian and everyone else were really sorry. We didn't mean to be disrespectful to Madame Yeva. We were deceived as well. Don't worry, we will catch the impostor and give everyone an explanation. Get lost. Sun Xuan wasn't in the mood to listen to Lin Xia's righteous speech. The moment Lin Yan left, he shoved the crowd aside and chased after her frantically. There was no one at the entrance. Sun Xuan chased after her swiftly. Qi Xiaoyuan was excitedly teasing Lin Yan about how the impostor had been exposed. Ha ha ha. Boss, you have no idea how ugly the impostor's face was. Even if she racked her brains, she wouldn't be able to figure out why Sun Xuan would suddenly betray her. As Qi Xiaoyuan was speaking, he saw a black shadow quickly catch up to them and block their way. A second later, Sun Xuan fell to his knees and hugged her leg. Then he began to wail. Master, I've exposed that woman. I know I was wrong. I won't do it again. Please don't expel me. What if senior brother finds out? They will kill me, heir? The corners of Qi Xiaoyuan's mouth twitched as he watched the Almighty hugging Lin Yan's thigh and kneeling before her. Even though he knew that Lin Yan was Yeva, his expression was indescribable. The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched. "Get up." Sun Xuan cried even harder. "No. If Master doesn't forgive me, I will kneel for the rest of my life." Even Lin Yan couldn't stand it anymore. "You're a man. How can you kneel here? It's been so many years but you haven't made any progress?" Sun Xuan whimpered, "What's wrong with that? I'm willing to kneel for a fairy like you for the rest of my life. I'm Master's man, and I'll be Master's ghost even if I die. Please don't chase me away." Lin Yan was speechless. "Sorry for the wait. I'm still writing. Everyone can sleep early and come back tomorrow morning." Chapter 527. Lin Yan stared at her little disciple, exasperated. Among all her disciples, Sun Xuan was the weakest and he had a bad habit. He was easily tricked by girls. She had already lost count of the number of times this brat had been cheated of money and sex by women, to the point where he had lost his entire family's fortune. This time it was even better. She could even do something so lustful and stupid. However, this kid was really good at flattering others. He had a sweet tongue and was good at coaxing people. He was young and Lin Yan had no way of dealing with him. To be honest, Lin Yan had been biased when it came to this disciple of hers. Hence, the other disciples had a bad impression of Sun Xuan. Just as Sun Xuan had said, if the others knew what Sun Xuan had done, they would definitely beat him to death. "Master, I know I was wrong this time. I swear. I will never trust a woman so easily in the future. No, I swear that I will never have a girlfriend again. I want to stay by your side forever." Lin Yan's face turned as black as the bottom of a pot. "Forget it. Don't." Sun Xuan's face drained of color as though he had suffered a huge blow. "What, Master? Do you really not want me anymore?" Lin Yan rolled her eyes at him and interrupted Sun Xuan, who was about to continue bawling. "Your master's boyfriend will get jealous." Sun Xuan's eyes widened in shock. "CK. Master, you have a boyfriend? Why? Is it so shocking that I have a boyfriend?" Lin Yan was speechless. She had kept a low profile when she had dated Han Yishuan, so not many people had known about it. Besides, she had always been a workaholic, so dating didn't seem like something she should do. The media had even speculated that Yeva had dedicated her life to racing and would never fall in love or get married in this lifetime. Sun Xuan coughed softly and waved his hands frantically. No. I mean, I can't imagine what kind of man would be worthy of my fairy-like master. That's impossible. Boss, you have a boyfriend." Qi Xiaoyuan, who was a loyal fan of hers, felt as though he had been struck by lightning. His goddess had a boyfriend. He didn't believe it. However, he realized that he was the first fan to know Boss's secret. Wei Shufeng, on the other hand, didn't even know who Boss was. Somehow he felt better. Qi Xiaoyuan echoed, "That's right. I feel like no man is worthy of Boss." Lin Yan furrowed her brows and glanced at Sun Xuan. "If you don't get up, you will be kicked out of the sect." Sun Xuan's eyes lit up when he heard this. He quickly got up and said, "Master, you really won't chase me away." Qi Xiaoyuan guessed that the two of them must have something to talk about since they hadn't seen each other in a long time. Thus, he tactfully excused himself so that the two of them could be alone. "Boss, you guys chat, I'll be leaving first." "Okay, be careful on the road. Go back and rest early." After Qi Xiaoyuan left, Sun Xuan hugged Lin Yan excitedly. Master, do you know how much they missed you after you left? I'll call them right now. They'll definitely rush over immediately." Chapter 528. Lin Yan's expression darkened. "No, don't tell anyone about me." Sun Xuan frowned and asked, "Why? Is it because you were banned from the competition? Who doesn't know that it was because someone framed you? You've never lost a competition, so why would you need to take that drug?" Those idiots knew that no one would believe them, so they didn't dare announce it. They just wanted to make use of this incident to force you out of the competition. Lin Yan was naturally aware of the severity of the situation. She had dominated the competition for a long time and was a thorn in many people's sides. How could they let this opportunity slip by? "Master, as long as you explain yourself, everyone will believe you," Sun Xuan said anxiously. Lin Yan sighed softly. "Xuan, you're oversimplifying things. No matter what, they can just say that I followed the rules and regulations and stop all doubts." Sun Xuan clenched his fists tightly. "Even if that's the case, Master, can you bear to leave us behind? Everyone misses you. They want you to come back." Lin Yan grinned at her. Schwerin, I've taught you everything I can. All of you are capable of taking charge. This is my own battle, so I have to walk it alone. Sun Schwerin glanced at Lin Yan in confusion. Master, you mean? Lin Yan raised her head and gazed at the starry sky. Many things happened in the past. At the time I was disheartened and wanted to quit the industry, but now I've changed my mind. Lin Yan glanced at her disciple and grinned. Don't worry. One day I will return to the competition and reunite with all of you. In Yeva's dictionary there was no such thing as failure. Sun Schwerin's eyes lit up when he heard her. Really? That's great. I will work hard and stop fooling around. I will wait for you at the competition. Lin Yan glanced at her disciple and sighed. I'll thank the heavens if you don't get cheated again. Tears welled up in Sun Schwerin's eyes again. Master, I swear that I will stay away from women from now on. I will remain chaste for you. Lin Yan was speechless. Please pay attention to your wording. What do you mean by preserving your virginity for me? Your master still wants to live for a few more years. Lin Yan was about to reply when her phone rang. She had received a new message. It was from Pei Yuqing, who rarely contacted her. I left a document in the second drawer of the study. Can you send it to the company? At the same time in the manor. The guests had all left, and Han Yishuan was busy arranging for his men to catch the imposter. Meanwhile, Lin Shuya was busy apologizing to everyone. The people who came today were all famous people in the circle. Because of that imposter, she had lost all her face. Initially, Lin Shuya had wanted to network and get the role of Yeva through this incident. But now he had offended all the big shots in the racing circle. He had even offended Andrea. Although Wei Shufeng didn't say anything, his expression was ugly as he left. Now that she had calmed down, the more she thought about it, the more suspicious she felt. Sun Schwerin's attitude was very strange. That woman knew that she was an imposter, so how could she have dared to invite Sun Schwerin? Wasn't she courting death? What was even stranger was Lin Yan. How could she be so sure that the woman was an imposter? She had even dared to say that she wasn't an imposter because she didn't want to. There was no failure. There was only death. The Old Man and the Sea. Chapter 529. Late at night, in the bar, Qi Xiaoyuan had just left when he received a call from Wei Shufeng. Wei Shufeng had invited him to a bar for a drink. Tonight's incident must have been a huge blow to him. Wei Shufeng downed glass after glass of wine, looking crestfallen. I really thought that I would be able to meet boss this time. I even spent a few days preparing a gift. Qi Xiaoyuan patted Wei Shufeng's shoulder. My condolences. Wei Shufeng rolled his eyes at him. Aren't you disappointed at all? Aren't you sad at all? You're a fake fan. You don't deserve to like boss. Qi Xiaoyuan's eyes widened in confusion. What? I'm a fake fan? How could a thief claim to be a thief? If you're not a fake fan, then what are you? What gift did you prepare for boss? It's an imitation bag. Wei Shufeng complained. Qi Xiaoyuan was speechless. What was wrong with giving an imitation bag? It was a pity that Wei Shufeng didn't know that he had known from the start that it was an imitation bag. Qi Xiaoyuan didn't explain. He merely glanced at the drunk Wei Shufeng sympathetically. Actually, you didn't lose out at all. You saw everything that you wanted to see. All the VIPs had actually seen Yeva in real life at the invitation. There was nothing wrong with that. Lin Yan spent a long time trying to get rid of the clingy Sun Schwerin. Then she rushed back to Cloud Manor. She found the document in the drawer and rushed to JM Corporation. There was no one in the building that night. Ching Imo, who had been waiting downstairs, led Lin Yan to the top floor. Mr. Pei, why are you working so late? Asked Lin Yan. Ching Imo nodded. Yeah, the company has been busy lately. This way, Miss Lin. The two of them walked out of the elevator and headed to the office at the end of the corridor. Knock, knock, knock. Ching Imo knocked on the door. President Pei, Miss Lin is here. Come in. The man's husky voice was heard. Lin Yan followed Ching Imo. The moment he pushed open the door, he saw a huge floor-to-ceiling window. Outside the window there were thousands of lights and flashing neon lights. Inside the window, in front of a dim light, the man casually and lazily sat in front of the desk. Behind him hung a suit jacket, his sleeves casually rolled up, and on the desk there were all kinds of documents. This was Lin Yan's first time in his office. It was also the first time she had seen him at work. No wonder people say that men at work are the sexiest. Lin Yan was really worried about her future. Pei Yuqing had raised the standard of being a boyfriend. How was she going to continue dating after they broke up? Seeing the girl coming over, the man looked up from the pile of documents, put down the pen in his hand with his slender fingers, took off the gold-rimmed glasses on his face, and pinched the space between his eyebrows. "Sorry for disturbing you so late at night, Miss Lin. Because it's very, very important, I can only give it to you." Lin Yin snapped back to her senses and hurriedly waved her hands. It's okay. It's just a gift." Lin Yin hurriedly walked over with the document. "Mr. Pei, take a look. Is this the right document?" Pei Yuqing glanced at it casually before putting it aside. Lin Yin, who was a little worried, said, "This is such an important document. Mr. Pei, you should check it first. What if I took the wrong document?" Chapter 530. Pei Yuqing replied, "I'm sure." Lin Yin was certain that Pei Yuqing hadn't even glanced at the document earlier. Just as Pei Qian was about to continue speaking, Qing Mo glanced at the document and subconsciously said, "Isn't this the invalid document? Boss Pei, why do you want this document?" Lin Yin was dumbfounded. "Huh? Invalid?" Even Qing Mo was confused. However, he realized that he had said too much. How could the boss not know this? Since he did this, there must be a deeper meaning behind it. Thus, he hurriedly lowered his head and remained silent. "But Mr. Pei said that it's very important?" Lin Yin was puzzled. Pei Yuqing raised his head and glanced at the girl. "Miss Lin, you've misunderstood. I'm referring to the person who delivered the document." Lin Yin blinked in confusion. I just want to see you, Miss Lin. No matter what you bring, it's the same." Pei Yuqing's eyes behind the glasses were as mesmerizing as the night sky behind the floor-to-ceiling windows. He knew that he couldn't beat around the bush with Lin Yin, so he didn't hide his intentions. Indeed, Lin Yin finally understood. She coughed violently and coughed violently. *CK. Wasn't Pei Yuqing being too straightforward? Even though she was used to it, she still couldn't take it. Couldn't he be more roundabout? All right, if he was too roundabout, she wouldn't be able to understand. Qing Mo, who had been trying to figure out his boss's intentions, lowered his head and swallowed his saliva silently. He had racked his brains for so long, but he hadn't expected that his boss would really have such a deep meaning. Instinctively, Lin Yin touched her burning cheeks. She felt that she had been too useless. They had been dating for so long. Why should she be afraid? She had just come to the company to visit him. Wasn't this a normal behavior in a relationship? Besides, she had Xing Chen's request, so she had to make a good impression on him. Hence, Lin Yin inhaled deeply to calm herself down. Then she smiled and said, "Ahem. Mr. Pei, if you wanted to see me, you could have just told me. Actually, I miss you. I was just afraid that it would be inconvenient for me to come to your company." Pei Yuqing glanced at the girl with a faint smile. "I won't. You're welcome anytime." Qing Mo touched his nose and thought to himself, of course not. Even if it was inconvenient, he completely believed that boss would make things more convenient for JM Corporation. "Oh yes, Mr. Pei. When will you be done? Why don't I wait for you? We can go home together later." Pei Yuqing was startled when he heard the words "let's go home together." He hadn't expected that Lin Yin would take the initiative today. His eyes were burning as he gazed at the girl. After some time, he replied in a low, hoarse voice, "Okay." Qing Mo was surprised to hear that Pei Yuqing had agreed. They had to rush to the airport later. However, before Qing Mo could remind him, Pei Yuqing glared at him and made him swallow his words. He didn't dare say another word. The reason why he could stay by his boss's side was because he didn't talk much, hence, he had to work hard to maintain his advantage. He could see through it, but he wouldn't say anything. "I wonder if anyone noticed the little Easter egg that I buried?" The abbreviation of JM Group, JM, is actually the abbreviation of cute. Chapter 531. Lin Yin didn't have to wait long before Pei Yuqing finished his work. He picked up his jacket and left the office with her. They sat side by side in the back seat of the black car and chatted casually. "Has everything been going well?" "It's going pretty well. After meeting one's match was released, my reputation improved a little, and I received more job offers. After all, I'm now an artist of Summit Entertainment. With Mr. Pei's JM Corporation backing me up, even Triumph Entertainment can't blacklist me. However, I've been on the hot search list recently. Sister Ling said that I would arouse the ire of passers-by if this went on. That's why she didn't allow me to take on any jobs. In a few days I'll start working." Pei Yuqing propped his hand on his forehead as he listened quietly. From time to time, he chimed in as though Lin Yin wasn't talking about something unimportant. Instead, he was talking about something so important that he couldn't miss a single word. "You seem to be very busy these few days," Pei Yuqing said. Lin Yan's heart tightened as she replied cautiously, "Ahem. I've been helping out with my grandfather's team, so I've been a little busy. Do you need any help?" asked Pei Yuqing. Lin Yen blinked in confusion. Ahem. Mr. Pei, don't you hate racing? Although Pei Yuqing had watched her race personally, she knew very well how much he hated racing. Thus she couldn't help but feel worried. Pei Yuqing didn't deny it. I don't like racing. Indeed, Lin Yen swallowed her saliva nervously. Pei Yuqing added, but you can love me, love my dog. Lin Yen was speechless. Qing Imo, who was driving, was speechless. When the car was about to reach the villa, Pei Yuqing suddenly asked, do you want to come out for a walk? Lin Yen was startled at first before she nodded. Sure. Qing Imo parked the car by the road and got out. The two of them got out of the car. The night was quiet, and Lin Yen and Pei Yuqing strolled along the tree-lined path under the moonlight. Lin Yen inhaled a deep breath of fresh air and raised her head to look at the starry sky. Wow, it feels good to take a walk at night. Yeah. Pei Yuqing paced slowly as he reached out to hold the girl's cold hand. Lin Yen was startled as she lowered her head to glance at her hand. Her cheeks flushed slightly. The night was chilly, and Lin Yen shuddered involuntarily when a gust of cold wind blew. Pei Yuqing glanced at the girl before he held her hand and placed it in his pocket. Lin Yen felt her cold hands being enveloped by his warmth. That warm feeling spread from his palm to his heart, and then turned into a violent heartbeat. Lin Yen couldn't help but recall the 100 things you should do with your boyfriend that she had read online. She remembered that one of the rules was, put your pocket in your boyfriend's pocket in winter. At that time she thought it was stupid. Why would she put it in someone else's pocket? Didn't she have her own pocket? But now he suddenly had a feeling of enlightenment, a feeling of sudden realization. Pei Yuqing studied the expression on the girl's face and a smile appeared in his eyes. However, that smile soon faded a little. It wasn't a long walk, so the two of them reached the villa in no time. Lin Yen was about to enter the house when Pei Yuqing suddenly stopped in his tracks. Chapter 532. What's wrong? Lin Yen instinctively turned around. I'm on a business trip. I need to catch a plane to Country M now, replied Pei Yuqing. Lin Yen was startled. Huh? You're in a rush to go abroad? If I had known, I would have come back alone. That way you could have rushed to the airport. What time is the flight? Is it too late? Why didn't you say so earlier? No wonder she saw that Cheng Imo seemed to be a little anxious when she saw him hesitating to speak. Pei Yuqing stroked the girl's soft fingers and sighed. Miss Lin's suggestion is irresistible. Lin Yen was speechless. Huh? Her suggestion? What had she suggested? Hadn't she just said that they would go home together after he was done with his work? So, he didn't hesitate to take a detour to the airport just to come back with her? Lin Yan's cheeks burned hotter at the thought of this. Sorry, tomorrow is the weekend, but I'm afraid I have to miss the appointment, said Pei Yuqing. It was only then that Lin Yen recalled that her other consciousness had taken the liberty to ask Pei Yuqing out on a date this weekend. It's all right. Anyway, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. We can go anytime, replied Lin Yen. The aloofness in Pei Yuqing's eyes dissipated when he heard Lin Yen. Okay. Hurry up and catch the plane then. Don't waste any more time. Lin Yen urged him hurriedly, afraid that she would delay his trip. Okay, go in and rest early. Okay. Lin Yen stood at the door and watched Pei Yuqing leave. In the night, the man's lonesome figure gradually merged with the darkness. Lin Yen stared at Pei Yuqing's back and hesitated. She had never felt this way before. She felt that she should do something. When the man walked to the car and opened the door, Lin Yen couldn't help but say, hold on, then he jogged all the way to catch up. Pei Yuqing halted when the girl caught up with him. What's wrong? Lin Yen scratched her head and hesitated for some time. Suddenly, she tiptoed and kissed the corner of Pei Yuqing's lips. No, nothing. Be careful. After the girl finished speaking, she quickly slipped away. Pei Yuqing, on the other hand, stood rooted to the ground in shock. The warm touch at the edge of his lips felt like an illusion, but it was very real. The man watched as the girl fled into the house, and the shock in his eyes turned into an overwhelming darkness. A moment later, he sighed helplessly. He had always been calm and composed. Nothing could affect his decisions and pace. However, for the first time in his life, he understood why there were so many incapable rulers in history. On the way to the airport, Pei Yuqing was speechless along the way. When he passed by a huge LED screen in a shopping mall, he accidentally caught sight of an advertisement. This Valentine's Day, spend it romantically with your partner. Valentine's Day, Pei Yuqing muttered. Is tomorrow Valentine's Day? Qing Imo, who was driving, nodded. I think so. Pei Yuqing's eyes narrowed and the atmosphere around him turned cold. Qing Imo immediately knew that he had failed in his duties. He hurriedly said, "I'm sorry, Boss Pei. I should have reminded you in advance." The main reason was that he hadn't realized that his boss was in a relationship, so he had forgotten to remind him of this important day. He was doomed. Was Boss really going to be an incapable ruler and cancel such an important trip? Update has ended. I'm begging for monthly votes and recommendation votes. There have been many things to do these 2 days, so the update might not be stable. As long as I'm free, I will make up for it immediately. Chapter 533. In the bedroom, Lin Yin scratched her head as she paced back and forth in the room. Had she been possessed just now? She had just been acting. Why had she fallen for it? No. This had nothing to do with her. She must have been possessed by that pervert again. That was why she had done such a thing. That had to be it. Lin Yin hurried online to play a few games to calm herself down. Wang Jingyang was online as well. He had invited her to join his team. Lin Yin accepted his invitation and the two of them started chatting. Wang Jingyang typed, "I haven't seen you online in a long time. What have you been up to?" Lin Yin typed, "It's all about my grandfather's team. Cut the crap and start a game. Which position do you want to play?" Wang Jingyang typed, "I'll support you. I've been wanting to increase my score lately." Lin Yin replied, "Sure, start." Wang Jingyang was surprised that Lin Yin had agreed so readily. "Why did you agree so easily? The last time I asked you to carry me, didn't you say that one round was very expensive and that you had to pay to play with me?" Lin Yin typed, "Oh, thank you for reminding me. Remember to send me money later." Wang Jingyang was speechless. Hence, Lin Yin chose the archer while Wang Jingyang supported her. The two of them started to kill each other in the game. Wang Jingyang's score started to increase rapidly. In one game, Lin Yin targeted the archer and killed him. At first, the archer was cursing and swearing in the fountain. In the end, he lost all his temper. F***CK. Who the hell is the enemy's ADC? He's too awesome. Boss, are you carrying a girl? Boss, why aren't you talking to me? Huh. That's weird. Boss, why aren't you killing me? The archer glanced curiously at Lin Yin, who had walked past him without killing him. The archer kept nagging, but Lin Yin ignored him. She typed impatiently, "You're too cheap." The archer was speechless. After a character was killed too many times, the monetary reward would decrease. After being killed so many times, the character would become worthless. This was blatant mockery. Wang Jingyang typed, "Lin Yin, what's wrong with you? Why are you so angry today? Why is he so violent?" Lin Yin replied, "When have I ever stopped being violent?" Wang Jingyang, "Okay." However, he still felt that she was acting weird today. After the last match, Wang Jingyang sent a message. Wang Jingyang replied, "Ahem. Lin Yin, are you free tomorrow night?" Lin Yin typed, "What?" Wang Jingyang, "If you don't have anything else to do, then accompany me to score." Lin Yin replied, "I'm busy." Wang Jingyang, "Not free? It's Valentine's Day tomorrow. You're single. How can you be busy?" Lin Yin was startled. "Tomorrow is Valentine's Day?" Wang Jingyang, "Yeah, are you coming?" Lin Yin replied, "No. I'm busy." Wang Jingyang, 50 yuan per round. Lin Yin replied, "No." Wang Jingyang, "No way. Not even paying?" Lin Yin typed, "It's Valentine's Day tomorrow. I have to pay extra." Wang Jingyang, after playing games for half the night and accepting Wang Jingyang's deal, Lin Yin felt much better. She could finally lie down and sleep peacefully. In the middle of the night, Lin Yin was woken up by a throbbing pain in her left leg. Oh no, she had been playing around too much and had raced too many times. She was afraid that her old injury had relapsed. There was no good way to treat this kind of injury. The only thing she could do was to get an anti-inflammatory injection. However, Lin Yin had never gotten an injection before. She had forced herself to endure it. She was most afraid of injections. Every time she saw a needle, she would be terrified. She would rather die from the pain than get an injection. Chapter 534. Lin Yin forced herself to endure until dawn. She had thought that the pain would subside, but it was getting worse. Perhaps because she had been driving too much recently, the pain didn't subside at all. Instead, it intensified. Lin Yin broke out in a cold sweat as the pain in her left leg pierced her heart. However, she decided to let it be. It would be better than getting an injection. Her body had always recovered quickly. At most, she would have to endure for a few more days. Lin Yin picked up her phone and searched for gossip to divert her attention. In the end, her phone was flooded with news about Valentine's Day. A couple in the industry had announced that they were in a relationship. Her screen was filled with dog food. What was there to flaunt? It was too boring. It was all about Valentine's Day. She couldn't even enjoy the gossip. Ever since she had retired from the industry, there had been no gossip in the industry. She was so disappointed. Pei Yutong had gone somewhere and hadn't come today. Pei Nanshu had several jobs to attend as well, so the house was empty. Lin Yen was the only one in the house. Lin Yen rubbed her leg as she scrolled through her phone in boredom. It was too boring. She had to find something to do. Lin Yen opened the app and ordered some takeaway and beer. Then she strolled to Pei Yutong's favorite game room. Lin Yen scanned the room and realized that it was indeed a high-end room. It had all the latest gaming equipment on the market as well as a VR helmet. The lights on the wall were dazzling, and if she turned on the music she would be able to dance in the room. Lin Yan's attention was completely captured by the gaming room. She really couldn't understand what people were thinking. What kind of relationship was this? Was the takeaway not good enough? Was the alcohol not good enough? Or was the game not fun enough? She could stay at home, eat delicious food, play games, and dance. Couldn't she be happier? Besides, there was such a huge house for her to play. It would be perfect if her leg didn't hurt. Other than that, Pei Yuqing's figure kept popping up in Lin Yan's mind. Usually, when Pei Yuqing wasn't home, she would be more relaxed. However, today for some reason she kept thinking of him. Perhaps it was because it was Valentine's Day. Although she and Pei Yuqing were acting, he was still her boyfriend in name. Warm thoughts, asterisk asterisk asterisk. This sentence is indeed very reasonable. While Lin Yan was happily partying on the other side of the ocean, Pei Yuqing had just arrived. Due to the time difference, it was nighttime. By now, it was already the next day in China. Pei Yuqing was standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, gazing at the night sky outside. Suddenly his phone rang. It was Pei Yutong. "Big brother, did you go on a business trip?" Pei Yutong asked excitedly. Pei Yuqing asked, "What is it?" Pei Yutong hurriedly replied, "Of course. Don't you know what day it is? Today was Valentine's Day. But you actually went on a business trip and left sister-in-law alone at home. Sister-in-law must be very sad." Pei Yuqing remained silent. "This is your first Valentine's Day together. Even if sister-in-law didn't say anything, she must be disappointed. Sister-in-law is so pitiful. She doesn't have many friends around her. On such a busy day her boyfriend isn't around. How sad and fragile she must be." Meanwhile, Lin Yan, who was singing, drinking, and dancing, was speechless. It was too late after yesterday's work, so I'll update 2 chapters for everyone first. Today, 16th, I'll ask for a leave in advance. I'll be busy for the whole day, so I might not have time to write when I get back. If I haven't updated, everyone can come back tomorrow to read moi. Chapter 535. On the other end of the line, Pei Yutong was nagging non-stop. He was worried sick about his brother's relationship. "Are you very free?" Pei Yuqing asked softly. Pei Yutong shuddered when he heard his cold words. "Ahem. I'm just worried about you." Pei Yuqing hung up before Pei Yutong could reply. Pei Yutong, who was in the country, was panicking. Big brother was still as heartless as ever. How could a relationship go smoothly if he was like this? If Big brother's relationship didn't go well, how could he find a good backer like Big sister-in-law? If he lost Big sister-in-law, wouldn't his good days come to an end and he would return to hell? At that moment, someone knocked on Pei Yuqing's door. Cheng Yimo entered cautiously. "President Pei." Pei Yuqing read the documents as he said, "Speak." Cheng Yimo coughed softly. "President Pei, I came to confirm the schedule. Is everything going as usual?" Pei Yuqing raised his head coldly. "What else?" "No, nothing." Cheng Yimo replied hastily. "I just wanted to confirm it again in case there were any mistakes." He was worried that his boss would suddenly book a flight back to China on Valentine's Day. He would then drop his work to accompany his girlfriend. Now that he heard his boss's reply and saw how serious his boss was at work, Cheng Mo felt deeply guilty for his thoughts just now. It seemed like he had gauged the heart of a gentleman with his own mean measure. "I'll go prepare now." Cheng Yimo left the room immediately. After Cheng Yimo left, Pei Yuqing began to focus on the documents and complicated forms that he would need tomorrow. However, 3 seconds later, the man who was leaning against the chair felt a familiar dizziness. A second later, he lost consciousness. When Pei Yuqing woke up again, the scene before him had changed completely. He instinctively moved his fingers and raised his hand. He then saw a pair of slender, fair hands that belonged to a girl. Pei Yuqing reacted quickly. This was Lin Yan's body. The man's eyes flickered with helplessness. It seemed like he couldn't fool himself even if he had fooled everyone else. Although he hadn't said anything about what Pei Yutong had said over the phone and he hadn't seemed to mind, he had still been worried. And yet the moment Pei Yuqing took control of Lin Yan's body, deafening music filled his ears. Dazzling lights flashed above his head, and a racing car appeared on the screen. It seemed to be a racing game that Pei Yutang had loved. There were several empty beer bottles, lobsters, scallops, duck necks, peanuts, and all sorts of snacks scattered around Lin Yan's hands. Sister-in-law must be so upset. Even if sister-in-law didn't say anything, she must be disappointed in her heart. Sister-in-law was so pitiful and had no friends. On such a busy day, her boyfriend wasn't around. How sad and fragile would she be? How sad. How fragile. Pei Yuqing recalled Pei Yutang's words and stared at the scene before him. Chapter 536. It was obvious that Lin Yan wasn't sad or weak at all. On the contrary, she seemed rather happy. Game over. Due to the sudden interruption of the game, the word failed appeared on the screen. Lin Yan had been engrossed in the racing game. She was about to pass the level when she suddenly blacked out and lost consciousness. After some time, when she woke up again, she realized that the game had ended. F***ck. There was only one round left. Initially, Lin Yan had thought that she had fainted by accident. However, when she woke up, she instinctively wanted to smash the controller. In the end, she realized that a strange and familiar situation had occurred. Her body was no longer under her control. No matter how hard she tried, it was useless. It was as though her body didn't belong to her. Her consciousness was the same as before. It felt as though she was locked in a small, dark room deep in her mind. She was a third party. No wonder she had lost consciousness. Her body. Another consciousness had taken over her body. However, the difference was that this time she seemed to be conscious, but because her body had been invaded, she couldn't control her own body. Just as she thought of this, something horrifying happened. Her body suddenly let out a sound of speech. What a heartless woman, F***ck. Her body was talking. However, it wasn't her. This wasn't her tone at all. It's you again. It's you, pervert, isn't it? What the hell are you? Why haven't you left? Lin Yan's consciousness probably existed in the depths of her mind. However, she couldn't control her body. When her consciousness awakened, Pei Yuqing immediately sensed her presence. You're awake? Pei Yuqing asked in surprise. After all, his consciousness was too strong. When he had taken over Lin Yan, her consciousness had been suppressed and she had been in a coma for most of the time. However, that didn't mean that something unexpected had happened. You haven't answered my question. How many times has it been? What do you want? Were you the one who secretly ate all my snacks last time? Were you the one who asked Pei Yuqing out on a date? Lin Yan started to complain. Suddenly, a thought struck her and she exclaimed, "Oh, I got it. I finally know. You asked Pei Yuqing out, so you're here because you want to go on a date with him, right?" He didn't answer her. Instead, he asked softly, "Are you happy that he's not around?" Lin Yan was startled for a moment before she realized that he was referring to Pei Yuqing. "What does it have to do with you? Can't I be happy?" asked Lin Yan. Pei Yuqing quipped, "Today is Valentine's Day, but he can't accompany you." Lin Yan grumbled in her head, "What's so good about Valentine's Day? Isn't the beer, the skewers, or the games?" Pei Yuqing raised his eyebrows slightly. After some time he asked lazily, "Then, is he not good-looking enough? His figure isn't good enough, or isn't he attractive enough for you?" Lin Yan was speechless. He seemed to have seen through Lin Yan. "Don't lie. I will find out." Lin Yan was speechless. **CK. She seemed to have forgotten that this fellow seemed to be able to directly absorb her consciousness and thoughts. Chapter 537. The other party could read her thoughts at will. It was as though he could read her mind. However, she didn't even know who he was. Wasn't this too unfair? She had no privacy at all. Or, Pei Yuqing paused for a moment before he added, "Let me rephrase my question. Is he not good-looking? Does he not have a good figure? Or is he not rich enough?" Lin Yan was speechless. **CK. That was a violation of the rules. What was wrong with this guy? Why did he know her so well? Lin Yan hurriedly cleared her mind of distracting thoughts and replied decisively, "Mr. Pei's looks, figure, and wealth have nothing to do with me. Do you think I'm the kind of person who looks at a person's face, figure, appearance, and wealth? I'm not that kind of shallow person." Pei Yuqing listened to the girl's righteous words. "Really?" Lin Yan replied, "Of course." Just as Lin Yan replied resolutely, her subconscious surfaced at the same time. "I'm too much of a person. Pei Yuqing is such a handsome and rich boyfriend. Who can resist him?" Pei Yuqing replied, "Huh? Handsome boyfriend? Lin Yen was stunned when she heard her own voice chuckle. *CK. You can really read my thoughts. It seems like you should thank me, Pei Yuqing quipped. Lin Yen immediately retorted, thank your head. Do you know how miserable I've been because of you? Do you know what kind of dire straits I'm living right now? I'm hovering on the edge of death every day. At the same time, Lin Yan's subconscious mind said, don't be too happy drinking and singing every day. Occasionally I can see my idol. When my boyfriend isn't acting up, he has a good temper. This is a heavenly life. Speaking of which, I think I should thank that guy. Pei Yuqing nodded. You're welcome. Lin Yan was speechless. She had been red again. Lin Yan was flustered and exasperated. I didn't thank you. A boyfriend like Pei Yuqing fell from the sky out of nowhere. I was scared to death. Lin Yan's subconscious mind said, how could such a good thing happen to me? Pei Yuqing was speechless. Lin Yan was on the verge of breaking down. The subconscious would emerge unconsciously, so even Lin Yan would find it hard to control it. This was too sinful. Pei Yuqing leaned against the couch calmly as he listened to the girl in his head. After a moment of silence, he asked slowly, Miss Lin? Are you tempted? The way he had said Miss Lin with his body was strangely familiar to Lin Yan. Lin Yan was startled for a moment before she snapped back to her senses. She couldn't let this fellow lead her by the nose anymore. Otherwise there would be no privacy at all right? A second later, Lin Yan tried to clear her mind and stop her thoughts from running wild. An idea struck her as she swiftly memorized the book. In the 9th year of Yonghe, at the beginning of spring, we will meet at the Orchid Pavilion on the Kuaiji Mountain to cultivate. All the wise men and women have gathered, the young and old have gathered. Pei Yuqing asked, do you really not like it? Lin Yan replied, there are towering mountains and lofty ridges, lush forests and tall bamboos. There are also clear streams that reflect on the left and right. The meandering stream is the second best. Although there aren't any musical instruments, a song is enough to express one's feelings. Pei Yuqing quipped, of course, liking someone who doesn't want to be responsible counts. Chapter 538. That's enough. Form is emptiness and emptiness is form. Form is emptiness and emptiness is form. Lin Yan was so frightened that she had to recite the Heart Sutra. Pei Yuqing was about to continue when he frowned and glanced at Lin Yan's left leg. He had felt that something was wrong with his left leg. Perhaps the alcohol had numbed some of the pain. Now that he had sobered up, the pain surged again. The pain penetrated deep into his bones like a venomous snake. Even he couldn't stand it, let alone a girl like Lin Yan. Such intense pain couldn't have happened recently. It had been going on for a long time. Pei Yuqing's eyes swept across the beer cans on the floor and the game screen. His face darkened gradually. She had been drinking and playing games to numb the pain and distract herself. Pei Yuqing's tone changed instantly. Why aren't you going to the hospital? Given the intensity of the pain, anyone else would have fainted by now. How could she be drinking and playing games here instead of going to the hospital? Go to the hospital? Why would I go to the hospital? Lin Yan couldn't feel the pain in her body, so she didn't understand what Pei Yuqing meant. Pei Yuqing suppressed his anger and rose to his feet swiftly. He picked up his jacket and bag from the couch. Lin Yan panicked when she saw that he was about to leave. What are you doing? Where are you going? Pei Yuqing replied, I'm taking you to the hospital for treatment. What do you mean? Hospital treatment? Lin Yan suddenly recalled the injury on her leg and panicked. No, I'm not going. I'm not going to the hospital. I don't want an injection. Pei Yuqing's expression was cold. What? Lin Yan replied fiercely, no reason. I just don't want an injection, can't I? At the same time, Lin Yan's subconscious was saying, no injection, no injection, no injection. Injections are so scary. I'm afraid of injections. Pei Yuqing halted in his tracks, looking startled. You are afraid of injections? Lin Yan was speechless. *CK. So what if I'm afraid of injections? Can't I? Lin Yan, who had been exposed, exploded in anger. Pei Yuqing's voice softened as he said, I'm the one who needs the injection, not you. What are you afraid of? Lin Yan was dumbfounded. Seems like it, her body was not under her control and she could not feel anything. She could not even feel the pain in her left leg. In other words, the guy was the one who was hurting, the guy was the one who was taking the injections, the guy was the one who was taking the medicine, and it had nothing to do with her. Instinctively, Lin Yan muttered to herself, I didn't expect such a good thing to happen. Otherwise, let that fellow take this opportunity to get a few more injections. Help me take the best medicine. Pei Yuqing, who had read their thoughts, was speechless. He hailed a cab and rushed to the hospital. When they arrived, the doctor checked on Lin Yan and scolded her harshly. You don't want your legs anymore? What took you so long? Didn't your attending doctor tell you not to do any strenuous exercise during your recovery? You youngsters really don't take your own bodies seriously. It's my fault. Pei Yuqing didn't retort at all. He had been very good at admitting his mistake. Lin Yan had a strange feeling that he was sincerely apologizing. He wasn't apologizing as Lin Yan. Instead, he was apologizing in his own capacity. Chapter 539. Pei Yuqing followed the doctor's instructions and took the medicine. Then he started the drip. Lin Yan discovered the benefits of being possessed. Although she was still a little afraid of the needle, she didn't feel anything when it hit her body. She didn't need to take the medicine or the drip, and she couldn't feel the pain in her leg at all. However, Lin Yan felt a little miserable when she looked at the drip. It was Valentine's Day, but her old injury had relapsed and she had been possessed. Now, she had to spend the rest of the day in the hospital. For some reason, Pei Yuqing's figure appeared in her mind uncontrollably. A second later, she heard her own body's voice. You're thinking about him. Lin Yan jumped in fright. *CK. You're doing it again. The late emperor's business collapsed halfway through. Today the world is divided and Yi province is exhausted. This is indeed a critical period. However, the imperial bodyguard does not give up on the inside, the loyal soldiers forget about the outside. Was there something wrong with him? Whatever she was thinking about would be known by this guy. What if she accidentally thought of something inappropriate for children? Wouldn't he be able to see through her too? Pei Yuqing replied. Inappropriate? What do you mean? Lin Yan replied, I didn't mean anything. I was just thinking. Can you stop reading my mind? Pei Yuqing replied, sorry, I can't control this. Lin Yan replied, there are 9 months and 3 autumns. When the water runs out, the cold pond becomes clear. When the smoke condenses, the mountains become purple. Like a journey visiting the scenery in Chang'e. Arriving at the Princess Changzhou, obtaining the Deva's old residence. These days, she really couldn't get through this. Lin Yan seized the opportunity while she was still conscious to get down to business. Hey, you haven't answered my question yet. What exactly are you? Are you my second personality? When he remained silent, Lin Yan probed further. Are you a ghost? Are you a vixen? In order to nourish your yin energy? Pei Yuqing listened with interest. Miss Lin, you have an imagination. Why don't you continue guessing? Continue guessing? I really can't guess. Lin Yan fumed. I don't care what you are, but I'm going to die because of you. You're the one who created this problem, so you have to solve it yourself. Please break up with Mr. Pei. These days, every time I wake up, I'm either on his sofa or on his bed. I'm almost scared to death, okay? Who knows what will happen the next time I wake up? Silence reigned for a moment before Pei Yuqing asked slowly, do you want to break up? Lin Yan replied, of course I want to break up. Isn't that obvious? Pei Yuqing replied, in that case you can divide it yourself. Lin Yan asked, why? You were the one who provoked him. She had wanted to share it herself, but she had almost failed to come back alive. Chapter 540. Pei Yuqing replied, the person I like. Lin Yan replied, yeah. Is there a problem? After all, Pei Yuqing didn't belong to her. All she wanted was for everything to go back to normal. Last night, Pei Yuqing had suddenly wanted to go on a business trip. Before he left, she had suddenly returned and kissed Pei Yuqing, causing her to feel uneasy and restless. She had gone to play games and drink because her emotions were in a mess. At the thought of this, Lin Yan questioned him furiously. Last night you kissed me shamelessly. Of course I wanted to get away from her. Otherwise, who knows what you'll do to me after taking over my body. Pei Yuqing's eyes flickered with surprise, and his expression was indescribable. After some time he asked, do you think that I was the person last night? Lin Yan replied resolutely, of course it was you. If it wasn't you, could it have been me? How could I have done such a thing? Ha! Lin Yan felt a little flustered when she heard her body chuckle. Why are you laughing? What the hell? Why did she feel that this fellow's tone sounded a little like Pei Yuqing's? Miss Lin, I wasn't the person last night. How dare you deny it? Stop lying. It was definitely you. Do you think I have a reason to lie to you? Pei Yuqing retorted calmly. For some reason Lin Yan felt that this fellow wasn't lying. This fellow had done so many shameless things. Why wouldn't he admit it? What was going on? Last night she had really been in a daze. Her mind had even gone blank for a long time. She had thought that she had been possessed. Could she have been the one who had done that last night? Impossible. That was impossible. Lin Yin forced herself to remain calm. Even if it was me, it was your fault. Haven't you heard of the term embezzlement? With such a man by your side, who would be able to withstand it? I've persisted until now and have only done such a small thing. It's already very rare for someone like me to stay calm. Pei Yuqing raised his eyebrows. Actually, you don't have to stay calm. Lin Yin snapped, shut up. It's fine if you have ulterior motives. Don't lead me astray. What did Mr. Pei do wrong to deserve to be deceived and tarnished by you? Please be a man. Lin Yan's consciousness was howling when she suddenly felt weak and dizzy. When she was possessed, she couldn't stay awake for too long. Before Lin Yan could react, she was plunged into darkness. He knew that Lin Yan had fallen into a coma when his mind suddenly fell silent. Let's sleep? Pei Yuqing closed his eyes slowly. When Lin Yan woke up again, she was in a taxi. Lin Yan tried to move her body but realized that she couldn't control it. That fellow was still there. Lin Yan had just woken up and was still weak. She struggled to speak. Hey, where are you taking me? Let's go home. Lin Yan rejected him immediately. No, I'm not going back. It's such a big festival and it's still so early. It's so boring to go home. She was the only one at home and she didn't want to go back. Where do you want to go? Lin Yan replied, I want to go to the disco. Take me to the disco. Pei Yuqing was speechless. Chapter 541. Pei Yuqing quipped, you won't be able to have fun even if you go. Lin Yan replied, it's fine. You can also help me jump. Pei Yuqing, who was speechless, replied helplessly, your leg is injured. Lin Yan replied, yeah, but it's fine. Even if I can't move, I can still enjoy the atmosphere at the bar. The taxi had already stopped outside the mansion. Lin Yan urged him, anyway, I want to go out and have fun. Take me out. Pei Yuqing was speechless. You need to rest. I don't want to rest. I want to go out and have fun. Hurry up and take me out. Are you going to leave me alone at home during this festive occasion? That's too cruel. Don't think that you can ignore my wishes just because you control my body. If you don't take me out, I will keep arguing. Flower in my heart, I want to take you home to that bar in the middle of the night, no matter if it's real or not. Please sway to your heart's content. Forget about him. You are the most charming, you know. Come, draw a dragon with me on the left and a rainbow on the right. Lin Yan muttered under her breath and even began to sing. Pei Yuqing was speechless. Lin Yan had always been obedient in front of him. This was the first time he had seen this side of her. Pei Yuqing was having a headache when Pei Yutong walked out of the house. F***CK. Big sister-in-law. Sister-in-law, where did you go? I've been looking for you for a long time, but you didn't pick up my calls. I was so worried. Pei Yutong felt relieved when he saw Lin Yan. Why are you here? Pei Yuqing glanced at Pei Yuqing. Isn't it Valentine's Day today? Big brother is away on a business trip, so he's not home. I was afraid that you would be sad and let your imagination run wild at home. That's why I came to accompany you. Pei Yutong carefully observed Lin Yan's expression as he spoke. Big sister-in-law, big brother can be a little unreasonable at times, but don't be sad. He's just too busy with work. Pei Yuqing glanced at Pei Yutong coldly. He was about to be brainwashed by Lin Yan's repetitive song. In the end, he strode away. Big sister-in-law. Sister-in-law? Pei Yutong hurriedly chased after her. Big sister-in-law, you just came back. Where are you going? Lin Yan replied expressionlessly. Disco dancing? Pei Yutong was speechless. Disco dancing. It's Valentine's Day and sister-in-law is going to a bar to dance alone. Isn't she jumping into a wolf's den? Pei Yutong was scared out of his wits as he hurriedly followed her. Big sister-in-law, calm down. Sister-in-law. Daddy. Wait a minute. It's so late at night and it's even Valentine's Day. You're so pretty, it's too dangerous for you to go dancing alone. In the end, Pei Yutong had no choice but to send Lin Yan to the bar with his bodyguard. Pei Yutong refused to give up when he reached the door. Daddy, are you really going? What if my big brother finds out? Lin Yan muttered under her breath, your big brother didn't forbid me from dancing. Pei Yutong panicked when Lin Yan remained silent. Daddy, why don't I find some other entertainment? Why don't we drive? Lin Yan's heart skipped a beat when she heard him. However, she dismissed the idea in the end. Forget it. I'd better take care of my legs. I won't dance anymore. As Lin Yan was about to enter the bar, Pei Yutang yelled, "This is a high-end nightclub. It's expensive." Lin Yan glanced at the signboard outside the bar. It's expensive, but it's free for women today. Why wouldn't I take advantage of this? Pei Yuqing was speechless. Chapter 542. Lin Yan was considered a public figure now. However, this bar was very famous in the industry, so it was very private. She didn't have to worry about being photographed. Besides, everyone was having a good time, so no one would notice her. From Pei Yutang's point of view, Lin Yan seemed especially aloof today. She didn't even respond to him. Indeed, big sister-in-law was heartbroken because his brother had left her alone. That was why she had come to this bar to get drunk. The deafening noise, the bustling crowd, and the dazzling lights dispelled all the thoughts in Lin Yan's head. Lin Yan was elated. Hurry up. Order a Bloody Mary for me. Or even a Manhattan. Pei Yuqing ignored Lin Yan's request and turned to the bartender. A glass of orange juice. The bartender looked awkward. Sorry miss, we don't serve orange juice. Pei Yuqing reached out and pulled out his wallet from Pei Yutang's pocket. He took out some cash and handed it to the bartender. The bartender said, "Wait a minute. I can get someone to buy it for you." Pei Yutang, who had allowed his wallet to be taken away, was speechless. My money, Lin Yan, whose cocktail had turned into orange juice, was speechless. Was there something wrong with him? Why was he asking her to drink orange juice? I've said that your body doesn't belong to you alone, Pei Yuqing replied calmly. Lin Yan was infuriated. How can you be so righteous when you've taken over my body? Pei Yuqing quipped, stop fooling around. Pei Yutang was lamenting the fact that he didn't have much money left when he heard Lin Yan say something strange. He was dumbfounded. Big sister-in-law, what did you just say? Pei Yuqing replied, I wasn't talking to you. Pei Yutang was speechless, but there was no one else around. It was really strange. There was only sister-in-law here and big brother was not here. Why did he still feel like he was the third wheel? The bartender served Lin Yan a glass of orange juice. There was a glass of orange juice in front of her in the crowded bar. She didn't drink or dance as though she was aloof from the world. She simply looked out of place. Pei Yutang couldn't figure it out. Big sister-in-law? Why did you come to the bar? Originally, he was worried that his sister-in-law would get high from playing, but he never expected such a strange situation to occur. At the same time, Lin Yan chimed in, yeah. Why did you come to this bar? I can't dance, I can't drink, I can't move, I can't even look at the handsome guy. Pei Yuqing narrowed his eyes. You want to see? Lin Yan asked, why can't I watch it? Pei Yuqing didn't respond. He took out Lin Yan's phone and searched for his number. Lin Yan jumped in fright when she saw Pei Yuqing's number. You. What are you doing? Pei Yuqing replied, tell your boyfriend what you're doing. Lin Yan replied, F***CK. You're too much. How dare you threaten me? Although she had sounded so righteous, if Pei Yuqing were to find out that she had gone to dance alone in the middle of the night and wanted to see a handsome guy, she would be dead. Pei Yuqing raised his eyebrows. Are you that afraid of him? Lin Yan was about to continue complaining when a young man in a black suit approached her. The man was holding a glass of tequila as he smiled at her. Miss, are you alone? Chapter 543. Pei Yuqing, who had been hit on, was speechless. Lin Yan replied solemnly in her mind, do you think I'm one person or two people? Plus you, I should be considered two people, right? However, are you even human? Pei Yuqing felt helpless when he heard Lin Yan's nonchalant question. Was it a good thing that he had been hit on without realizing it? Before Pei Yuqing could react, Pei Yutang exploded in anger. Are you blind? Can't you see that I'm here? If you know what's good for you, scram. The man raised an eyebrow and scanned Pei Yutang from head to toe. Forgive me for being blunt, but I don't think this lady is your girlfriend, right? Most people who came to this kind of place were smart, so they could tell that Lin Yan and Pei Yutang weren't a couple. Pei Yutang replied, so what? She isn't my girlfriend, but she is my father. So I don't think you have the right to make me leave. The man replied disdainfully as he glanced at Lin Yan. Miss, sorry to disturb you. Let me introduce myself. My name is Zhao Yankai. Pei Yutang found the name familiar, but he couldn't recall who it was. He muttered suspiciously, Zhao Yankai? I don't care who you are. Let me tell you, this girl is my sister-in-law. Do you know who my big brother is? If he finds out that you dared to provoke my sister-in-law, He can crush 10 of your fathers with his pinky finger. Pei Yutong threatened him fiercely. Zhao Yingkai sneered at Pei Yutong. He had treated Pei Yutong like a young lad. In this imperial capital, although my Zhao family can't be considered to be at the top, I, Zhao Yingkai, am a character that no one dares to provoke. You actually casually said that your big brother can pinch 10 of me to death with a pinky? Zhao Yingkai sneered. Since your big brother is so powerful, why don't you call him out? I want to see how he pinches me to death. You. Pei Yutong was infuriated by the man's arrogance. He almost wanted to blow up his cover. Zhao Yingkai paused for a moment before he asked, Kid, do you know who the president of the Pei Corporation is to me? Pei Yutong was taken aback when he heard Big Brother's name. My big, Pei Yuqing, who is he to you? Zhao Yingkai, he's my grandfather. Pei Yutong nearly choked on his own saliva. What did you say? Even Lin Yan was startled. What the F***ck? What was this person saying? When did Pei Yuqing have such a big grandson? Pei Yuqing pondered this for a moment. I don't think he knows the answer either. He really didn't remember such a person. Pei Yutong burst into laughter. Pei Yuqing is your grandfather? Then I can say that he is my big brother. You must be dreaming. Zhao Yingkai snorted coldly as though he was looking at a country bumpkin. Lad, who doesn't know that Pei Yuqing is my cousin? If you don't believe me, you can go out and ask around. Pei Yutong finally recalled why Zhao Yingkai's name had sounded so familiar. Zhao Yingkai. Could he be the young master of the Weiyuan Corporation? If that was the case, it seemed like that was the case. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit the website. Chapter 544. The Zhao family and the Pei family were indeed related. Although they were distant relatives, the Zhao family was used to doing things. In order to maintain this relationship, they always let Zhao Yingkai call his elder brother grandpa. They were not afraid of being shameless. His big brother had probably forgotten about Zhao Yingkai a long time ago. Pei Yutong, who had just recalled this relationship, cursed in disgust. This lad. How could he be so smug? Do you know who you're flirting with now? That's your grandmother. Lin Yan, who was shocked, exclaimed, Pei Yuqing is his grandfather? According to the family hierarchy, am I not his grandmother? Pei Yuqing agreed with Lin Yan. Yeah, you can say that. Zhao Yingkai thought that Pei Yutong had been frightened by him, so he ignored him and walked over to Lin Yan. Miss, I've been paying attention to you ever since. You're really special. You have a charming aura. That's why I couldn't help but want to get to know you and be friends. I hope I didn't disturb you. Zhao Yingkai looked like an elegant young master as he tried to strike up a conversation. Lin Yan studied the young man before her. He was dressed fashionably and was wearing luxurious clothes. The watch on his wrist was probably worth the price of a house. He looked a little pompous, but he seemed polite. Lin Yan was about to reply when she realized that her body didn't belong to her. Thus, in the next second, he heard his own body say a word lazily and casually. Get lost. Lin Yan replied, Huh? Why are you scolding me? This young man seems like a nice guy. Pei Yuqing replied, Nice? I didn't know that you had such low standards. Lin Yan replied, Why did you have to attack me for no reason? He even complimented me. Oh wait, he should be complimenting you. He said that you're very charming. Is this young man interested in you? Is he flirting with you? *CK. Why are you causing trouble for me again? Are you trying to seduce another man? Pei Yuqing was speechless. Zhao Yingkai looked startled. He hadn't expected that Lin Yan would treat him this way even though she knew who he was. What shocked him even more was the look in Lin Yan's eyes. He was so frightened that his legs almost turned to jelly. He even felt his hair stand on end. However, Zhao Yingkai was only stunned for a short while. He wasn't angry. After he came back to his senses, his eyes were filled with even more interest. I didn't misjudge you. You're indeed very special. Woman, you have successfully caught my attention. If I'm not mistaken, you should be the popular artist. Lin Yan, right? Miss Lin Yan, we will meet again. I believe that you won't reject me next time. Zhao Yingkai looked as though he was determined to get her. Then he halted and turned around. Oh yeah, Miss Lin Yan. Your expenses today are on me. After showing off, Zhao Yingkai elegantly turned around and left. Not long after, the DJ's voice came from the bar. Today, young Master Zhao is paying the bill. Women screamed excitedly, but Lin Yan was filled with disdain. Is there something wrong with this man? I only ordered a glass of orange juice and Pei Yutong paid for it. Chapter 545. Pei Yuqing glanced at Zhao Yankai to conceal the coldness in his eyes. Have you had enough fun? Lin Yan mumbled unhappily. So soon? It's still early. Pei Yuqing quipped. Or, do you want me to flirt with all the men in this bar tonight? Lin Yan was speechless. Lin Yan wailed in her head when she heard this threat. Go home. Go home. I want to go home. Boss, please calm down. I haven't broken up with Pei Yuqing yet. Are you trying to kill me by making me a cuckold? Pei Yuqing's expression was indescribable when he heard this. Did she mean that she could break up with him? At that moment, Pei Yutang was staring at Lin Yan in horror. It's over, it's over. Why is sister-in-law talking to herself? Is it because she's too sad and has received too much stimulation? Pei Yuqing stayed for a long time this time. He didn't leave even when he reached home. Lin Yan couldn't help but grumble. Why aren't you leaving? I told you that Mr. Pei is overseas. He can't be spending Valentine's Day with you. Just give up. Suddenly Lin Yan's phone began to ring. Doggy, Lin Yan, why aren't you online? I've been waiting for you. Didn't you promise to spend Valentine's Day with me? Are you going to stand me up? Spend Valentine's Day together. Pei Yuqing narrowed his eyes as he glanced at the nickname Doggy. The profile picture looked familiar. It was Lin Yan's friend who used to live next door. At this time, Wang Jingyang sent another message. Doggy, Lin Yan, have you forgotten what you promised me last night? All right. I got it. You want more money for Valentine's Day, right? 200 yuan per game should do, right? Hurry up and start the game. I'll help you. I'm going for a diamond tonight. Pei Yuqing finally understood that this lass had been singing, dancing, and eating skewers. She had also found time to earn money. It seemed like she had been very fulfilling. Lin Yan suddenly recalled Wang Jingyang. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about such an important matter. *CK. What should I do now? Why did you have to possess me at this time? Aren't you preventing me from earning money? Lin Yan looked as though the sky was about to collapse as she paced around anxiously. Fairy sister, do you know how to play games? Lin Yan asked eagerly. Pei Yuqing said, Sister? Lin Yan replied, Yeah, what's the problem? Are you younger than me? It doesn't matter if it's elder sister or younger sister, you have to help me tonight. Regardless of whether this was a personality or a ghost, she had subconsciously assumed that it was a woman. Otherwise, why would she have flirted with Pei Yuqing? Pei Yuqing was speechless. Dog, hurry up and go online. Wang Jingyang kept urging him on the other end. Lin Yan urged her as well. Sister, hurry up. Let's go online first. If you don't know, I'll teach you. Pei Yuqing walked into the living room and sat down on the couch. There were cigarettes on the coffee table, so he unconsciously took one out. He was about to light it up when he remembered that it was Lin Yan's body. He didn't light it up and tossed it on the coffee table. Pei Yutang had been observing Lin Yan for a long time. She had gone to the nightclub and mumbled to herself in a daze. Now, she had even tried to drown her sorrows with a cigarette. She was obviously heartbroken. Chapter 546. Sister-in-law, are you all right? Pei Yutang inched forward cautiously and asked with concern. Out of the corner of his eye, he noticed that Lin Yan was playing a popular mobile game. Sister-in-law, you're playing Challenger too? That's great. I've been playing it recently too. Why don't I play with you? Pei Yutang was elated. Playing games was good. At least it was safer to play at home. Pei Yutang stole a glance at Lin Yan's ID. Get rich, Lin. Sister-in-law. Your ID is very auspicious. Wow. Sister-in-law, you're pretty good at this. Daddy, please guide me. Pei Yutang was still excited when he realized that Lin Yan had been pulled into a team. Her ID was riches and honor. Get rich, Lin, riches and honor. Pei Yutang muttered under his breath. *CK. Is this a couple's ID? How could she meet someone who was trying to poach her while playing a game? Lin Yan was speechless. What couple's ID? Their teammates. Earning money was more important. She had to think of a way to get the big deal tonight. Fairy sister, you're so smart. You must be good at games, right? Help me play a few rounds. Today is Valentine's Day, so I'll pay double. Look, we're sharing the same body now. My money is your money, right? We have to earn this money. Lin Yan tried her best to persuade him. Sister-in-law, add me. Pei Yutang urged. He couldn't let the two of them be alone in the game. He had to shine. Pei Yuqing clicked agreeing and pulled him into the room. Riches and honor typed. Lin Yan, who is this? This car to kindergarten typed. I'm her brother-in-law. Pei Yutang revealed his identity. Riches and honor typed, Lin Yan, that's enough. You mentioned that you have a boyfriend, but now you have a brother-in-law. This car to kindergarten typed, my sister-in-law has a boyfriend. Her boyfriend is my big brother. Riches and honor typed, alright. Lin Yan, you have a boyfriend. Why would you play games with a single person like me on Valentine's Day? I'll believe you. Are we going to drive or not? Time is money. When Lin Yan saw that time was money, she urged, Fairy sister, hurry up and start. Stop listening to these two idiots. Let me teach you the basic rules of the game. Pei Yuqing replied, alright. Lin Yan heaved a sigh of relief when she saw that he was being cooperative. Then she began to train him. There are 3 lanes in this game. The top lane is the defensive lane, the middle lane is the sorcerer, and the bottom lane is the archer and support. Later you will follow Doggy down. You will be the archer and he will support you. It's best if Pei Yutong can get the entry that he's good at. I think that my body still has memories, so you shouldn't be too bad. Besides, Doggy's skills are pretty good. You guys should be enough to deal with this level. Also, as she was teaching, Lin Yan suddenly felt her consciousness getting further and further away. She was exhausted and couldn't hold on any longer. Before she could finish her sentence, she fainted. The moment Lin Yan fainted, Pei Yuqing carefully selected Kai Wenji. After entering the game, he controlled Kai Wenji, who was his support, to float into the jungle unsteadily and began to fight in the jungle. Chapter 547. That night, Wang Jingyang and Pei Yutong had a taste of what it meant to be a living hell. Riches and honor? Lin Yan, why did you choose support? Riches and honor? Why are you in the wilderness? Is this some kind of special strategy? Riches and honor? F***CK. 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 I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. Give me some milk. F***CK. I'm right next to you. Give me some milk. Don't poke that bird. I'm worth more than it. This car is going to kindergarten typed, Daddy? Don't go. Don't go. Come back. That's Daddy. You won't be able to beat him. Come back. This car is going to kindergarten typed, Sister-in-law? Don't go. Don't go. Come back. You're only level 3. You won't be able to beat him. Come back. This car is going to kindergarten typed, Sister-in-law, don't. Please. Why did you choose Kai Wenji again? Don't choose Kai Wenji. I feel dizzy when I see her in front of me. Riches and honor, Lin Yan. If you want to take revenge on society, don't drag me down with you. This car is going to kindergarten typed, Daddy, I don't want to play anymore. Get rich Lin typed, let's play again. Riches and honor, this car is going to kindergarten. The next morning, when Lin Yan woke up, she realized that she was lying on her bed. She opened her eyes abruptly, and her first reaction was to struggle to sit up. This was great. She was back in her body. She had been scared to death. Her consciousness had left her body for a long time. She was finally back. She seemed to have fainted halfway through. She hoped that guy wouldn't do anything this time. Lin Yan hurriedly got up and stretched her body. Fortunately, she had taken an injection yesterday, so the pain in her left leg had subsided. She surveyed the room to make sure that nothing was amiss. Then she left the room. She saw Pei Yutong sleeping on the couch when she reached the living room. Pei Yutong jolted awake when he heard her footsteps. Oh, sister-in-law. You're awake. Pei Yutong looked as though he had been ravaged the entire night. He sat up with huge dark circles under his eyes and rubbed his eyes groggily. When he realized that it was Lin Yan, he was so frightened that he almost fell off the couch. He waved his hands frantically and yelled, Sister-in-law, I'm not fighting anymore, I'm not fighting anymore. I beg you to spare me. If you really want to get more points, I'll spend money. I'll spend money to find a few sparring partners for you. Please let me go. Lin Yan stared at him in bewilderment. Third young master, what are you doing? Sparring partner? Find me a sparring partner? I'm in this line of work myself. Why would I need a sparring partner? Pei Yutong was horrified. Big sister-in-law, are you kidding me? You a sparring partner? Lin Yan frowned. Yeah, why? Pei Yutong gulped, looking horrified. It can't be. Other people have to pay to play with them, but you play with them. This is killing me. Does the man from last night have a special hobby? Was he a masochist? Otherwise, why would he ask big sister-in-law to be his sparring partner? Initially, Pei Yutong had been filled with hostility and wariness toward that B****starred. However, after what had happened last night, he only felt pity for him. Lin Yan had a bad premonition when she heard Pei Yutong. She whipped out her phone hastily to check the results of last night's match. Chapter 548. 12 consecutive defeats. Lin Yan, who had never been defeated and had always been the MVP, almost fainted when she saw the results of Crimson Rivers. What the hell was going on? Hadn't she made it clear to that guy last night? Why had he chosen Kai Wenji? He had chosen her the entire night. Fine, it was fine that he had chosen Kai Wenji. To a newbie, Kai Wenji was indeed suitable because a healer wouldn't die easily. But how the hell did that guy manage to kill Kai Wenji like this? She sprinkled a handful of rice on her phone. Could she even play better than that guy's Kai Wenji? Lin Yan glanced at Pei Yutong, who was trembling in fear. No wonder he had been so frightened. After reading the results, Lin Yan clicked on WeChat to explain to Wang Jingyang. Misty City amid the setting sun. Doggy, are you there? Doggy has activated his friend request. You aren't his friend yet. Please send a friend request first. You can only chat after the request is accepted. Lin Yan muttered. Pei Yutong stole a glance at Lin Yan's phone and realized that she had been blacklisted. TSK, he had been worried for so long. Who would have thought that the peach blossom would wither before it could bloom? Suddenly Lin Yan's WeChat received a video call request. It was from Pei Yuching. Pei Yutong was so emotional that tears streamed down his cheeks when his brother, who had been absent for the entire day, finally called to show his concern for Lin Yan. Sister-in-law, it's my brother. Hurry up and answer. Lin Yan answered the call hastily and cleared her throat. Hello, Mr. Pei. Is everything going well? In the video call, Pei Yuching seemed to be in a hotel room. He was dressed casually in his pajamas. Yeah, everything is going well. Sorry, it was Valentine's Day yesterday so I couldn't spend time with you, Pei Yuching said apologetically. Lin Yan replied hastily, it's fine. Work is more important. I'm fine. What did you do yesterday? Pei Yuching asked casually. Lin Yan's eyes darted around as she replied obediently, oh, yesterday? I spent the entire day at home reading and studying. I even took the time to practice calligraphy. Pei Yutong was speechless. Lin Yan immediately aimed the camera at Pei Yutong. Ask third young master if you don't believe me. Pei Yutong, who had been implicated even though he was doing nothing, looked dumbfounded. He looked at the phone with a bitter expression on his face. Yes. Sister-in-law spent the entire day reading and practicing calligraphy. He had never dared to lie in front of his big brother. Pei Yutong trembled in fear as he stood by the side. He was afraid that his brother would discover something. Pei Yuching chuckled softly as he studied the girl. Why are you so obedient? Did you do anything else? Pei Yutong felt extremely guilty. He was so frightened that his heart was about to leap out of his throat. Lin Yan coughed softly. Something else. Chapter 549. At that moment, Pei Yutong finally understood something. He seemed to have overestimated his brother's intelligence. To put it in another way, his brother was a complete idiot when it came to his sister-in-law. To think that she would actually believe a few words of sweet nothings. Indeed, people in love had zero intelligence. After she hung up, she confirmed with Pei Yutong that she hadn't done anything else other than use Kai Wenji to set him and Wang Jingyang up. She finally calmed down. Now that the crisis had been averted, Pei Yutong left in peace. Lin Yan sat on the couch and poured herself a glass of water. Out of habit, she scrolled through her phone to check for updates. Lin Yan stared at her phone. 2 hours ago, the production crew had released an announcement. The gist of the announcement was that the final casting of the racetrack's Grim Reaper, Yeva, would be announced soon. Furthermore, the audition would end in a few days. Most of the comments were filled with anticipation, and Lin Shuya's voice was the loudest. Recently, Lin Shuya had put in a lot of effort in order to secure the role of Yeva. She had participated in all sorts of competitions and events. She had even become an honorary member and sponsor of a famous team in the country. Lin Shuya's official Weibo account was filled with posts about various competitions and her seemingly unique understandings of the competition. If she hadn't invited the imposter, Lin Shuya would have gotten the role a long time ago. Even so, she was confident that she would succeed. However, Lin Yan would never give up the role of Yeva to anyone else, especially Lin Shuya. She would never do that. Lin Yan rummaged through her drawers and found a name card. She glanced at the number on it and dialed it. Hello? A slightly magnetic voice came from the phone. Is this Mr. Mark? Lin Yan grinned at him. It's me. I'm Mark. Mr. Mark, I intend to audition for the role of Yeva. Do you have time for a chat? The person on the other end of the line fell silent. I see. It's a pity that I've changed my career. I've switched to financial services. If it's an audition, I can give you my address and contact details. Oh yeah, how should I address you, miss? Are you interested in finance? Lin Yin was speechless. After she hung up, she jotted down the venue and the person in charge of the audition. Lin Yin contacted Zhao Hongling. Zhao Hongling had already arrived at a cafe nearby. You want to enter Legend and fight for the role of Yeva? Zhao Hongling was taken aback when she heard Lin Yan's thoughts. Legend wasn't a small production. Meeting One's Match, which Lin Yin had starred in, was considered a blockbuster in the country. However, it paled in comparison to Legend. This was considered an international IP. Zhao Hongling was familiar with Legend, which was one of the most anticipated blockbuster movies. Although the racetrack's Grim Reaper didn't make many appearances, she was the soul of the movie. She was a legendary character who had appeared throughout the entire plot. She had appeared at the very last moment and fought with her disciple in a race that was considered the race of the century. In this movie, no matter how many scenes the male and female leads had, how extravagant the scenes were, or how powerful they were, or how smooth the plot was, the audience was most concerned about the racetrack's Grim Reaper. Chapter 550. Zhao Hongling could imagine how much pressure she would have to endure if she hadn't performed well in the role of the racetrack's Grim Reaper. Sister Ling, what do you think? Lin Yin glanced at Zhao Hongling and chuckled softly. It's going to be difficult. Zhao Hongling snapped out of her reverie and glanced at Lin Yin. Zhao Hongling didn't want to dampen Lin Yan's enthusiasm, but that was the truth. Actually, no matter who played the role, it would be a hot potato. No matter how good one's acting was, there would always be flaws in the role. Besides, given Lin Yan's current condition, it wouldn't be realistic for her to compete with Lin Shuya for the role. There are too many fans for this role. Unless Yeva is the one playing it, don't take on this role. It's too challenging. Zhao Hongling analyzed the situation. Lin Yin nodded thoughtfully. If that was the case, there would be no problem. She was the real Yeva. Besides, Lin Shuya seems determined to get the role. Zhao Hongling continued to analyze the situation. If the production team is considering the Chinese market, then Lin Shuya is indeed a good choice. Anyone who wants to compete for the role has to be able to impress them with her acting skills. Lin Yin agreed with Zhao Hongling's analysis. Lin Shuya was very confident about Yeva's role. She had invited the imposter to promote herself and the role. It was a pity that she had taken a leave of absence. Of course, if you really want to fight for the role, I will support you. However, don't get your hopes up. I have some connections that can arrange for you to audition. Zhao Hongling glanced at Lin Yin. Lin Yin nodded. I'll give it a try. What if I succeed? 2 days later, someone from the production team contacted Lin Yin and told her to head to the audition venue. Lin Yin woke up early and freshened up. She put on some light makeup and changed into a casual outfit. Then she asked Pei Yutong to drive her to the audition venue. Sister-in-law, Daddy. Did I hear wrongly? You want to compete for the role of Yeva? Pei Yutong glanced at Lin Yin with a puzzled expression. Don't look at me. Focus on the road, Lin Yin instructed him. Oh. Pei Yutong hurriedly averted his gaze and focused on driving. Sister-in-law, I've been following Legend of Mirk for a long time. I can't wait for the movie to be released. If you can really land the role of Yeva, I promise to book a movie. No, I promise to book 10 movies. However, I don't think you're suitable for the role, replied Pei Yutong. Why not? Lin Yin was puzzled. I don't know either. I just think that unless Yeva plays the role herself, no one else would be suitable. Sister-in-law, think about it. Yeva is famous and influential in the racing industry. As long as it's not her, I think it's a form of blasphemy to Yeva. Pei Yutong replied. Lin Yin was speechless. Sister-in-law, Yeva isn't a fictional character. There is evidence to back her up. If there are any discrepancies in her performance, the fans will be annoyed. Sister-in-law, you have to be mentally prepared. It had to be said that Pei Yutong wasn't stupid. His understanding was on point. Chapter 551. Because of Yeva's existence and her personality, the difficulty of this character was almost hellish. Hence, Lin Yin had no intention of subduing anyone with her acting skills. She just wanted to be herself. Half an hour later, Pei Yutong pulled over to the left side of a building. Sister-in-law, we're here. Lin Yin opened the door and glanced at Pei Yutong. She chuckled softly and said, Thank you for your hard work. When I get home tonight I'll play with you. Pei Yutang's face fell when he heard Lin Yan. He didn't even respond to her. Instead he stepped on the accelerator and the car roared to life. In a few seconds Pei Yutang's car disappeared from Lin Yan's sight. The smile on Lin Yan's face froze. She was a king-level player, yet she was being despised by a weakling like Pei Yutang. Lin Yan walked into the building. The building had more than 80 floors, and the production crew had rented 6 floors for the audition. The elevator was already crowded. Lin Yan scanned the crowd and saw many familiar faces. Some of them were dressed up and Lin Yan remembered that they were B-list actresses. Some of them were regular guests of popular variety shows. When Lin Yan entered everyone's line of sight, one of the girl's eyes gleamed as she stared at Lin Yan. "Are you Lin Yan?" The girl took 2 steps forward and stared at Lin Yan excitedly. "It's really Lin Yan." "Ah, it's me." For a moment Lin Yan was still in a daze. Lin Yan had seen the girl on many variety shows. If she remembered correctly, her name was Wang Wenhua. "That's great. It's really you. I love your role as Lin Pianruo. I didn't expect to see you here." The girl beamed at Lin Yan. "Thank you." Lin Yan smiled politely at the girl. "Sister Lin Yan, what have you been up to recently? Do you have any plans to film the second installment of Meeting One's Match?" "I haven't read the original novel before. I read it because of your role as Lin Pianruo." Wang Wenhua gazed at Lin Yan. Lin Yan felt a little uncomfortable. This was the first time she had received such passion from her fans because of her acting. Before Lin Yan could respond, Wang Wenhua added, "Oh yeah. Sister Lin Yan, my name is Wang Wenhua. I'm your fan. I know you. I really like your variety show." Lin Yan grinned. Wang Wenhua grinned. "Really? That's great. Sister Lin Yan, hurry up and add me on WeChat." Lin Yan couldn't reject the girl's enthusiasm. "Sister Lin Yan, why are you here?" Wang Wenhua asked curiously. "I'm here for an audition." Lin Yan answered honestly. "Legend?" Wang Wenhua asked curiously. "Yeah." Lin Yan nodded. "We are all here for the audition. Which role is Sister Lin Yan trying out for?" "Yeva." Lin Yan grinned. Everyone in the elevator had a strange expression on their faces when they heard Lin Yan. Some of them even turned to look at Lin Yan strangely. Wang Wenhua was startled. "Sister Lin Yan, are you talking about the racetrack's Grim Reaper?" Chapter 552. Immediately the girls in the elevator laughed out loud. Yeva's role isn't something that anyone can audition for. To get the role, one has to be good-looking, have amazing acting skills, and have a wealth of knowledge and practical skills. Yeah. Although Yeva doesn't have many scenes, she is the soul of legend. If she wasn't Chinese, she wouldn't have come here to audition. "Your name is Lin Yan, right? I don't think you need to waste your time." Lin Shuya has already decided on the role. Most of them had come to audition, but very few of them had gone to audition for Yeva's role. This was because they knew their place. After Lin Shuya had announced that she was determined to get the role, they had given up all hope. Indeed, there have been many actresses who have gone to audition for Yeva's role. Some of them haven't even raced before, yet they dared to try their luck. Before Wang Wenhua could say anything, the elevator had already stopped. It had reached the floor where everyone was. Other than Wang Wenhua, 3 other girls walked out of the elevator. They were also here for the audition. "Sister Lin Yan, I'm here to audition for the role of Yu Han. I'm a member of the WZ team and I'm Chinese like Yeva?" Wang Wenhua whispered to Lin Yan. Lin Yan stared at Wang Wenhua in confusion. Yu Han was indeed a member of the WZ team, but he wasn't Chinese. Besides, he was a man. It was obvious that Wang Wenhua hadn't done his homework. "Yu Han is a man. He's not Chinese." Lin Yan glanced at Wang Wenhua and reminded her. "How can it be? I've searched online. I remember that it's a girl. Did I search wrongly?" Wang Wenhua's expression changed. Lin Yan was speechless. "Lin Yan? Who is Lin Yan? Is Lin Yan here?" Before Lin Yan could retort, a crisp voice rang out in front of her. Lin Yan raised her hand. "I'm here? This is your number." The person in charge handed Lin Yan a number with the number 11 on it. Lin Yan was asked to wait in the makeup room. Recently, there were a lot of actors auditioning for the same role, and they were all arranged to be in the same dressing room. In the dressing room, the contestants could touch up their makeup and wait for the staff to call their number before going to the audition. In Lin Yan's dressing room, there were already many people waiting for the audition. Everyone was wearing a silver uniform and a silver helmet. Lin Yan couldn't react in time. She thought that she had stumbled into a team's reserve room. Lin Yan stood out from the crowd. She wasn't wearing a silver uniform or a silver helmet. Instead, she was dressed casually, which made her look out of place. The girls in their silver uniforms ignored Lin Yan as they sat quietly by the side. 15 minutes later, the person in charge called out several numbers, including Lin Yan's number 11. Lin Yan followed the rest of them out of the makeup room and toward the audition hall. It was very quiet in the audition hall. There was almost no sound. The interviewers were the director and scriptwriter of Legend. Lang Mang's apprentice, Zhou Qiao, was seated in the middle. Zhou Qiao picked up the cup on the table and took a sip. His eyes scanned the crowd. Let's begin in sequence. Everyone has 1 minute to express themselves, Zhou Qiao said softly. Express myself? Chapter 553. All the actresses who had come for the audition had put in a lot of effort for the role of the racetrack's Grim Reaper. They had watched almost all of Yeva's competitions. However, they hadn't expected Zhou Qiao to allow them to perform freely. All they knew about the racetrack's Grim Reaper was from watching videos. Furthermore, most of Yeva's scenes were related to racing. Not many people knew about her lifestyle. In that case, how could they perform freely? Contestant 3. Zhou Qiao lowered his head and picked up the documents. Amo Sun, right? You go first. As soon as Zhou Qiao's voice fell, one of the girls in the silver racing uniform seemed a little nervous. She took a deep breath, calmed herself down, nodded, and walked forward. Everyone fell silent as they turned to look at the girl. After about 10 seconds, the girl finally made her move. Everyone watched as she squatted down, as though she was trying to imitate Yeva's performance. Stop. Suddenly, Zhou Qiao told the girl, all right, go back and wait for further notice. The girl's expression changed when she heard Zhou Qiao. She hadn't even started her performance yet. Zhou Qiao had made himself clear, so the girl didn't say anything else. She merely nodded and left the audition hall. Everyone knew that Zhou Qiao had made it clear. There was no need for the girl to continue her performance, as Zhou Qiao and the director hadn't been interested in her at all. Contestant 9, Li Xuanxin, get ready to start your performance. Almost none of the actresses who had come for the audition were able to finish their performance within a minute. Some of them lasted at least 7 or 8 seconds, while others only lasted about 10 seconds. The rest of the actresses frowned when they heard the harsh conditions. They couldn't help but feel puzzled. Wasn't this audition just for show? This couldn't be described as a hellish performance. Even though everyone had put in a lot of effort to get the role of the racetrack's Grim Reaper, they only knew about Yeva during competitions. Most of them had only read the news and watched the videos. Hence, they could only imitate Yeva's mannerisms during competitions. However, once the people who had just left started performing in such a manner, they would be stopped after a maximum of 10 seconds. I think the role of the racetrack's Grim Reaper has already been decided. Is Lin Xia. That's why the production crew won't consider anyone else. The reason why the auditions haven't ended yet is because they haven't announced the end of the auditions yet. One of the actresses whispered. Everyone agreed with what the actress said. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense for those people to be stopped before they even finished a minute. Number 6, Wei Yutong, that's all. Go back and wait for further notice. Zhou Qiao took a sip of water and turned to the actress on the stage. Wei Yutong, the actress who was supposed to be number 6, stopped what she was doing and glared at Zhou Qiao coldly. I'm sorry, but I have to say something. Since you've already decided on the role of Yeva, there's no need for us to audition anymore. I think it's disrespectful to us. Chapter 554. Hearing Wei Yutong's words, many actresses agreed with her in their hearts. However, they were not as daring as Wei Yutong to say such things out loud. Hearing this, the director and producer of Legend exchanged a look. Ever since they came to Hua Land for the audition, no one had ever said something like that. Miss Wei Yutong, right? Zhou Qiao's eyes trailed to Wei Yutong as he grinned. Do you think that the audition for the racetrack's Grim Reaper is just a simple simulation? Isn't that the case? Wei Yutong was indignant. Interesting. Zhou Qiao sneered coldly. If that's your understanding, then I'm sorry. You're not the right person for this role. Based on your logic, wouldn't it be better to find a female racer to play this role? Why would actors like you have to simulate a race? Or do you think that you're better than a professional racer? Zhou Qiao's words rendered Wei Yutong speechless. Indeed, there was nothing wrong with what Zhou Qiao said. They could easily find a professional female racer to simulate the movements of a racing car. All right, go back and wait for my notice. Zhou Qiao waved his hand impatiently. The rest of the actresses felt increasingly uneasy as they watched Wei Yutong leave. They had only watched Yeva's competition videos. If they were free to act, they would only be able to imitate the videos. How would they know Yeva's personality? Contestant 11 Lin Yan, get ready to perform. Zhou Qiao spoke after about half an hour. Lin Yan strode to the center of the hall. Zhou Qiao and the others were curious when they saw Lin Yan, who was dressed casually. Lin Yan stood out from the rest of the female actors who were dressed in silver. Zhou Qiao was Lang Mang's disciple, so according to seniority, he was Lin Yan's disciple. However, Zhou Qiao had never had the chance to meet Yeva. Hence, he had no idea that the person standing before him was Yeva. Why are you looking at me? Let's begin, Zhou Qiao replied. Lin Yan didn't speak. Instead, she fell silent. Many years ago, Lang Mang had competed in the first level of the international competition. After the competition, she had almost scolded him until he cried. Just as everyone was getting impatient, Lin Yan opened her eyes again. In that instant, that pair of eyes and the girl in front of him seemed to have changed into a different person. The casual and gentle look in her eyes also vanished in a second. It was as if she was standing at the top of the world, the defending champion. The change in the atmosphere made Zhou Qiao and the director show a rare look of interest. What are you afraid of? Lin Yan glanced at the empty corner with a cold expression on her face. Tell me how I taught you. You disappoint me. Lin Yan shook her head gently. The disappointment on her face was obvious. Cowering before the battle. Lin Yan replied coldly, your teammates gave their all to send you to the first level of the international competition, yet you can't even compare to a deserter. Perhaps your teammates should be ashamed of you. Lin Yan fell silent as though she was listening to something. At this moment, the expressions of the remaining actresses on the stage changed. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.